Panago Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
Rich Marner, am I right?
You see, because he made money.
It's a rich guy.
He's a very rich guy, more like rich money.
I like that you the one you had before the show, Money Martyr.
Money Marner of Rich. Darren Ferris. I don't know.
Welcome to the Darren Ferris Victory Parade, everybody. Woo. I just hope that he knows that next season, Taylor Hall can't sit out as an unrestricted free agent. That's not how it works.
I mean, he could.
He could. He could fly to Zurich and he could work out with them.
Doesn't feel like it.
He just threatens the entire NHL. All 31 of you teams.
I'm going to get offer sheeted. Yeah, that's how free agency works, is they offer you sheets. Hey, everyone who schadenfreude'd it up, especially, I just hope no Red Wings fans were loving the Mitch Marner saga.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it would be a real shame if this happened with Darren Ferris' client, Philip Zadina.
Oh, it already happened with Darren Ferris' client, Anthony Athanasiou.
Andreas
Athanasiou.
I know, it's a lot. It's a mouthful. And I also hope no Philadelphia Flyers fans.
Who's the Darren Ferris client there?
Morgan Frost.
Oh.
And I just hope it doesn't happen to you. God forbid something bad that happened to the Leafs should happen to your team.
You wouldn't want to get stuck on the Ferris wheel, am I right?
Oh! That was actually quite good.
Thank you.
That was Adam Zafavic. That was very good. I am happy that Mitch Marner is a Leaf.
But Steve,
for the next 6 years.
We're lucky.
And we are lucky.
Didn't you hear that? Did you hear how lucky we were?
Oh boy.
That it's so amazing. The godlike graciousness of this camp. Because they turned down more money. They could have had 2 other offer sheets.
Wow.
They were offered 2 offer sheets.
And Mitch, supposedly with a halo above his head,
golly,
said, it might have even said, golly, that's a lot of money, but golly, I want to be a Leaf.
Right.
Because it's the Victory Tour. Trying to reshape her image. And
are we trying to reshape the image a little bit with those? Because that came out today. Darren Ferris did come out and say, and apparently Matthew Barnaby tweeted that the offer sheets came from Columbus, which you can understand because
Makes
they have all the cap room, and Minnesota, which you cannot because I'm not sure how they could have fit it.
It might have been, what occurred to me is that might have been the final shoe to drop leading to Paul Fenton getting fired.
You think that Paul Fenton would have done that? Is it because Mitch Marner's lizard-like and he catches people with his tongue?
I mean, he could have been that. Also, really?
Well, because that was the Zuccarello when he signed Zuccarello.
I was like, what are you talking about?
He's like a lizard and he attacks people with his lizard.
You sound like a wacky NHL executive. Oh, turns out you're quoting one.
Former executive.
That's right. So I wonder if he was like, all right, Hail Mary, Mitch Marner. And he said, what? Why would I ever come there? And also, you can't afford me. And then he got fired. So that could be what happened. You're also having to assume Matthew Barnaby's right. Mm-hmm. I don't remember him breaking anything, but he also played in the NHL for a really long time.
I'm glad that we didn't do this story on Friday night because we needed more of the dust to settle. And the press tour this morning has been very interesting.
On a Monday.
Very, very interesting.
Can't do it on the weekend. That's ridiculous.
No, I got to wait for the Monday morning shows. Yes. That's who I'm waiting for.
Also, if you take out Fiala and Spurgeon, the Wild did have enough room.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So. Enough room for like 10.8?
Yeah, more than enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they also suck, so.
But yeah.
So,
Again, I think Steve's first point of, why would I come there?
Why would I come there? Well, I mean.
Especially when Paul Fenton was in charge.
Listen, we can afford you. I mean, I wonder if part of the reason he said no was Minnesota and Columbus.
Ooh.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, Columbus less so.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, listen, it's not Minnesota the city. It's Minnesota the way the teams run.
Yeah, never been to Columbus. I've never been to Minnesota. I have been to Columbus. I like Columbus.
Been to both. Love them both.
There you go.
But I can understand. We're just afraid to offend.
Adam once called Minnesota the greatest city in North America on this podcast.
I don't know if I said that.
Did.
I don't think I called it the greatest city.
I think you said the greatest city on earth, top 5, at least.
Okay, Abu Dhabi, London, Paris, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
You said one of the best cities on earth.
That's what he said.
No, here's the thing. Okay, so the interesting part of this whole story, for me anyway, is when the deal got done.
Which one, Paul Fenton or Mitch Marner?
Mitch Marner.
I do want to cut you off just to establish something. Because Adam's about to advance the story here. So let Iceberg get in the way here and steer the Titanic.
I was about to say we're going to have a rare iceberg appearance.
Moment. Iceberg, get ahead.
Listen,
It's so rare that you'd interrupt to tell a story, Steve.
Mitch Marner's a Leaf. I'm happy about it.
Sure, yeah.
We've been hammering him for a while.
Uh-huh.
So that will stop now after the show because we're not done yet. We have a resolution. He's a Leaf for the next 6 years. But we have some thoughts. After that, he goes back to being my favorite little boy.
I think that's fair because it happened. Yeah. Now you need to do the retrospective and then move forward.
Well, and I'd like to take issue with what you just said. Just one point of order, one small thing.
Okay.
One small correction. We never went after Mitch Marner. We went after the Marner camp's methods.
Yes.
That's what we did. We never assassinated Mitch Marner's character. We never assassinated his father's character, which, by the way, was happening online. And we'll get to that. Well, we never assassinated Darren Ferris, the person. The method, which was outsized in its confrontational tone, in its arguing back and forth through the media, in all of the things that it created, the quite frankly, the shitstorm that it created, and would have continued to create, did not need to happen, and he still could have had this number.
No, and Jesse made the point, well, I mean, it is ultimately Mitch Marner's decision. And that was further proven today when he was given 2 offer sheets and supposedly said no to them.
Right.
The agent came to a number that could have definitely come to fruition without all of this stuff.
This didn't need to happen.
Yeah. And if any feelings were hurt, I would like to apologize to the Marner camp for getting exactly what they wanted.
Right.
Which was a fight from February on.
They wanted a fight.
And
they got
all the money in the world.
Right. So here's the interesting part of this for me. It seemed like mid last week, we got a ramp up in the, well, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, don't see a path forward. I believe the best unbiased takes always come from, Friedge and from Bob McKenzie. And Bob and Friedge both in their own way said, as unbiased as they could be, don't see a path forward here, hard to see a path forward here, right? Then, because we are used to one particular side being far more vocal than the other side in this particular negotiation, we heard, well, it's not going to happen. We heard Zurich. We heard all the other things. And what was interesting to me is at a certain point last week, all of a sudden, poof, all of the offers that the Marner camp had turned down became public knowledge. They were all of a sudden reported.
Information's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Interesting.
And on that interview in 1050, Ferris did come out and say that they were never offered that 11 point whatever Tavares steal back in July.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
He can say whatever he wants. Like, here's the thing.
You know who they always call liars? Elliot Friedman and Bob McKenzie. You know who they always call stupid, greedy liars is the 2 most reputable names in the sport.
If you care to read the quote, I will.
No, please.
So on my favorite radio station in the entire world, TSN 1050, based out of Toronto, Ontario.
The greatest.
Yeah.
Well, it's second favorite.
Darren Ferris said, "Now, when you say a proposed offer, we discuss numbers. Those are numbers we all looked at. There were different numbers that were tabled over different time spans, but nothing was set in stone. Like, here is what we're going to do, or this is where we're at. It's a proposal for a discussion to talk around a number. Nobody declined an offer. No one accepted an offer at those points. We were just discussing the deal, and from there, that's how we got to this point."
So
that's when he was asked directly
said, would you
about
do this? And he said, no, try again.
You could have canned that quote and sold it as a soup. What the hell is that?
Yo, that quote was about as full as a bag of chips. Literally just air. Air, baby, air.
You ever get that on Halloween?
What's that?
You ever open a completely empty bag of chips on Halloween?
No, but I did always get those ones with like the Humpty Dumpty ones that are like, you might get 5 chips in this, and they might be 5 years old.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, they taste like cardboard.
Yeah, there's these. Here we sell them once a year chips.
Yeah.
But no, like 5 times throughout my life. Horrible luck. I open a bag of chips with no chips.
See, that's not horrible luck.
That's a horrible luck.
That's being a terrible company. And I don't know if it's Humpty Dumpty or else.
No, but
terrible.
it's bad luck that I
No,
received
let's not
them.
take this off of Steve. That's bad Halloweening.
Whoa.
You need to trick or treat better, sir. You
Yeah.
go to the rich neighborhoods where you didn't even get little bags.
where they get full chocolate
you get
bars.
big chocolate bars and big bags of chips.
There was one house in Adam and I's neighborhood that all the kids knew to go to because they did the full-size chocolate bars. There was one house, don't be this house, the candy apple house.
Ew. Nobody wants to eat that.
No.
What is this, like a nefarious cartoon from no?
This isn't the 40s. Like we're beyond the candy apple stage. Also, apples from strangers, bad.
Yeah, I was taught in poorly done PSAs in elementary school that there are razors in this.
And they tell you that they made it in their kitchen?
Yeah. And just because I know you doesn't mean I want to carry around this sticky ass candy apple in my bag all night.
And didn't Cinderella have to fall asleep because she ate an apple or something like that, or was that Snow
That was
White?
Snow White.
See,
Snow White.
look what happened to her.
Yeah.
And I'm going to
She
throw
slept
this out
forever.
there. Here's how Steve
true.
brings it all back. This kid, whose parents gave out the candy apples, lived on my street. This kid's name? Mitch.
Whoa.
No lie?
No lie. Swear to God.
Wow. Mitch
Look at that.
Mitch did not
segue
enjoy that.
Back to the
Mitch
topic.
didn't enjoy that about his parents. You know, there's certain things about your parents you're like, God, you're killing me with embarrassment right now. Mitch did not enjoy that.
No.
No, I don't think so.
No, he did not.
So here's the interesting part. So last
He
week
had to eat the 30 candy apples they couldn't give away.
we hear about last week the camp won't do this, and then the number finally comes out. We already knew Berkey kind of came out with the 8 years, 80 million earlier in the summer, which
Yeah, I don't even remember. There's been
that
so
was
many
that was
numbers.
that was the Brian Burke one that I'd heard that was the most similar to this that he had heard was turned down.
8 years, 80 million, so that would have been 10 million per year.
Yeah,
Which I would have taken.
sure.
Yeah.
Now,
But then we hear 7 years, 77.
yes,
And we're like,
which is
whoa.
for those counting, $11 million a season. The second that came out, the winds changed. Mitch Marner, and people disagreed with me online about this, as they're one to do, and that's fine. To me, Mitch Marner in this negotiation, from the PR side, had a decided advantage. He's an outstanding hockey player coming off an outstanding year who has an
Outstanding person?
outstanding reputation in the community. People adore him. They love him. They want to pinch his cheeks, they want to hug him, and they want to watch him do crazy shit with the puck, which is what he does amazingly well. He's a good person. He gives back. He's all the things that you want. And guess what? Local kid. Local kid.
The one time he spoke this summer was on Tim and Sid. Does anyone remember why?
It was a charity.
He was on like a charity
It was
golf
his
tournament.
The
charity.
Marner
But, yeah.
Assist Fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. No one really remembered. Yeah, that's nice, Mitch. Those kids and everything. Have you signed?
This is a good person.
Yes.
Now, this is a business deal. So to me, it's like there's no bad in this. This is just two businesses going head to head. Millionaires fighting with billionaires. But
That's what I've been saying.
In the grand scheme of things, nothing in here really matters.
no, that's the key thing to remember
Yeah.
about hockey. None of it really matters.
life
But while you're
or
in
death.
it sure does feel like it. Ah! Anyway,
Believe me, it's hard to tell myself that.
the wins,
Struggled with it.
the wins with this story change as soon as that number comes out. The 7-11. And here was the icing on the cake. It even included, you remember the tweet, it even included the bonuses
Yeah.
that were not in the first 3-year contract that Lou Lamoriello would not give to him but gave to Matthews.
I do not go nearly as berserk if that's not included in the tweet.
All right.
But it was an important detail. And who did that come from?
It came from, we'll say his name. He's not Voldemort. We'll say Darren Dreger.
No. Who did that come from? Did that? I thought that was Bob McKenzie. That was Darren Dreger that said that. That included
No,
the bonuses.
that I think Adam has this correct.
Oh,
I think it was Mackenzie who added on the bonus. I'll
He
look
was
it up.
quote
Let's
tweeting
check
Dreger,
that.
right? It got confused.
I'll tell you in
it
half
did.
a second.
Okay.
The point here is that as soon as that detail comes out, because I have a hard time believing that would come from Darren Dreger, that as soon as that comes out, then Leaf fans are like, okay. So
Enough.
now it's personal. Now we're pissed. We have gone with you this far. We love you. We know how much money you could. We'll buy all the Mountain Dew, Red Bull, whatever. We love you. We don't love this agent at all. And there are people who are going after his dad, which again, I said before, you can't go after the guy's dad if you don't know how involved he was. So I understand when Mitch Marner came out and said, yeah, I didn't really like the fact that people went after my dad. I understand that. Now, is his dad involved? Probably. But as much as any parent, who knows?
What I was saying the whole time is I struggle to see Mitch Marner. I struggle to picture Mitch Marner even saying these things.
Bingo.
The I feel slighted. I should have. Matthew's name was brought up again and again and again. And I'm like,
If it's not the Matthews deal, it's no deal, basically.
I just can't picture it. I can't. So who's it coming from? And the first two people who come to mind are, well, it's got to be the agent or it's got to be the dad.
Yep.
I don't know the first thing about Paul Marner.
Darren Dreger did have the quote about the bonuses in his original tweet.
Okay, so he did.
The tweet was, Leafs have been persistent in pushing both 7 and 8 year extension at Marner. The $11 million per offer was made in June and included the $1.6 million in B bonuses. Toronto wouldn't pay Marner in his entry-level contract.
Interesting.
So yeah, they were
great.
Come out
Okay.
Dreger.
So the point is, as soon as that detail comes out, fans switch. And isn't it interesting that within 12 hours of those details coming out, maybe even less, we hear later on that Marner and Dubas had a sit-down face-to-face. And you know why that happened?
Why?
If you have an agent,
Yes.
I have an agent. I can tell you that I have an agent. My agent talks to Bell Media when I need a new contract. He negotiates the deal. He reports back to me and he says, here's what they're offering. Here's where I think's fair. Here's what we're going to go back at because there's got to be somewhere in the middle, right? That's what happens. What I've never had to do with my agent, to his credit, is go, hey, listen, this is really getting out of control. Let me talk to management directly.
Right.
What happened was, and I would put money on this, I'm thinking, my opinion
This is Adam Wild
not based on sources.
theory.
Is that Mitch Marner tried to let his people, who he pays, and Darren, I include just Darren Ferris in that because I don't know the Paul Marner stuff. From now on, just assume that I don't mean Paul Marner because I have no idea how involved that guy is.
I think there's a very specific reason Darren Ferris is the one in the media today. They're like, oi, this was your job in the first place.
Bingo.
You be front and center and deal with this shit.
And this is what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
This guy let it get out of control. And he lost the PR battle, which he should have won, by the way, with the average fan.
With
that
the
was
most beloved Leaf.
You cannot, it's crazy to me. He could have won that battle. But the second, the whininess of Matthews got, by the way, Mitch Marner, those bonuses that he wasn't eligible for, by the way, he never would have got them anyway.
No.
The ones that he was slighted on, the ones that he's apparently, that they were so upset that they didn't get, he only would have been eligible for his last season. This is the crazy part. So beyond all this, the winds change. Mitch Marner takes things into his own hands like an adult. Mm-hmm. Because he's probably thinking, well, I pay these people. They probably know better than I do. And unfortunately, sometimes they don't. Mitch Marner goes, he sits down with Dubas, and guess what? Within 24 hours, deal's done. Crazy, isn't it?
It was unbelievable. We were beside ourselves talking about how this is never going to get done. All of a sudden, Chris Johnson tweets, there's been progress. I go, pardon? Mm-hmm. And then I think it was Jeff Merrick was on the radio and goes, it could get done today. Pardon? And it got done that day.
Yeah, because that Dreger tweet came out last Wednesday, the 11th. And then there was like 2 hours on Twitter where Mitch Marner was the biggest pariah in Toronto. It was like everybody hated him.
In literally the country.
The country. I shouldn't even say Toronto.
Like
just the hockey world, just everybody hated him because it looked like he was just being greedy and petty.
And fans of
Petty.
other...
Petty's the word.
Yeah.
Nobody minds you being greedy because you're living our dream. Mm-hmm. I don't mind the greed, but I mind petty.
He was greedy because he was petty.
Right.
And nobody wanted to see that. And they're like, this isn't Mitch. What the hell is going on? It's just anger. All one side. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was. There was very little Dubas side. And I think it was coming from other teams too. And I'm noticing a lot from out west because they started to realize, okay, so wait a sec. If Marner's setting the market... And it's all the stuff I've been saying for a couple months now. Screw it. Let them all wait. Let them... Vancouver with Besser. Calgary with... Oh, they got Mangiapane yesterday. No, the big fish is Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah, Rantanen.
Rantanen is going to be a big one.
That number's probably going to be the same as Marner's.
Yeah.
It should be higher.
Whatever they didn't spend on Nate McKinnon, they'll spend on Rantanen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I made a video for Sportsnet's YouTube channel. The two guys who, looking at their past 2 years, there is little to no justification paying them less than Mitch Marner, is Mikko Rantanen and Braden Point. They should both be making at least what he made.
And his, Braden Point's most recent offer was $4.7 million for 3 years. Like each year.
No No way. Where'd you hear that?
That was recently. I forget. Okay.
4.7. Did I hear you
that
right?
was what was reported.
I would have had the same laugh if you said 7.4. 4.7.
4.7. I think it was LeBron that had that actually.
Oh my God.
And I was like, whoa, well, that's not ending anytime soon.
Please don't let this happen. I'm ready to be done with
5.7.
Oh, okay. Fine.
Now let's see.
Sorry.
Now let's see how the Marner
dare I?
contract impacts other negotiations. It's believed Tampa's last offer to Point was around 3 years at $5.7 million. Both sides are far apart. That's Pierre LeBrun on Twitter.
So the Marner camp is dying to be done with this. The Leafs are dying to be done with this. I'm done after the show. I think most fans are ready to be done. God help Mitch Marner if Braden Point signs for $5.7 million.
Oh, boy.
And Mikko Rantanen signs for something similar.
And also,
$2 million.
God help Kyle Dubas.
Yeah. Well, I think that's maybe when it turns.
So we'll get back.
That's maybe when it turns to him.
Well, let me get back to something for you. I just want to show. There's an Eagle Eye podcast listener named Jeremy Bosco who sent me this, and I think you'll love this. Okay, This has nothing to do with anything, and probably is just something the way it worked out. However, when I look at Mitch Marner's contract breakdown, in his first season, he's going to make $16 million. That is a $15.3 million signing bonus and a base salary of $700,000. That's $16 million.
That was interesting. He got the opposite of what was reported.
Right.
Where it's front loaded instead of back.
So he'll make the same as Austin Matthews in base salary, $700,000, which is funny.
Yeah, fair.
Austin Matthews, signing bonus, $15.210. Mitch Marner signing bonus, $15.3 million.
So Mitch Marner can
So
sit
Mitch
there
Marner
in the
beat
dressing room.
Austin Matthews by $90K in the battle of who's super fucking rich at a young age.
I wish it was $93K. I wish it was
$93K would have been great. Yeah, absolutely.
And then part of me, this is where the deepest, darkest parts of my mind went. So Matthews got the 11.634. 34, his number's 34. Marner got the 10.893. 93 is his number from junior, but he can't have that. And then part of me goes, are they bitter they can't wear 93?
I hope not.
Maybe a little.
But probably.
Yeah.
Doug Gilmour did say he could have it. Doug Gilmour did call him and say, you can have it.
Right. But they can't.
No, they can't.
Yeah.
They retired
You
the
can't
jersey.
do that.
They hadn't retired it yet.
You know, Dubas is like, well, you're number 16. So, whoa. Wait, we're going to dig in about this
That's how many millions I
unnoticeable
wanna
amount
make.
of money to us. It is an absolutely unnoticeable. We spend that in a weekend. We will never notice that it's gone.
How soon do we get to the Mitch Marner's going to be traded before the 2023 offseason?
Won't happen.
Because that's when his no movement clause kicks in the next year.
No.
Won't happen.
You know
That's what happened to PK.
Yeah,
You know, I
PK
was
is a
about to
little different.
say, you know what the words that were about to come out of my mouth? Well, that's what happened with Kadri. Oh, he got traded.
I don't think they're in a trade, Marner.
No, I don't think so either. Now he's got to put up 94 points.
Yeah.
Again. Now he's-
93.
Well, it
now
is
he's
time.
oh, yeah. Maybe, yeah, he should,
Hold back a little.
dump it into the corner.
Once he hits 93, he stops playing.
There's 20 games left in the
I
season.
fulfilled my duties
Just dumps
here.
it.
I'm done now. So the question is, and everybody
God.
Go for
wanted,
116.
everybody wanted to talk about this, and I think it's a fair question. Is it an overpay? And I think undoubtedly yes. The answer is yes. Now, Dom Lucian from The Athletic said there's a 74% chance that this contract works out. Quote, Marner projects to be one of the 15 most valuable players in the league over the next 6 seasons. The expected value from his deal is 17 wins, which is an average of 2.8 wins per season, something you would expect from an elite forward, which is what he projects to be. If you look at just the league's best 16 teams, the percentage value brought by a team's 4 best players is 49.6%, almost identical to what the Leafs are paying their top 4 players.
Sure, Dom.
No. Well, it's salary breakdown. Everybody's like, can the Leafs do it with
No, I know.
50%? Yes, they can. The Leafs 4 are worth 48.3% of the team's total on-ice value. So they're paying 50% for 48.3% of their on-ice value. And they actually, and that's actually rather low for a team that is has such a strong top end. They say it's the 4th most valuable in the league thanks to their depth. There are 9 teams whose 4 top players are projected to be worth 11 wins or more combined, and they're worth 53.8% of a team's total value. Now, if it is an overpay, one thing that Toronto has been famous for in the past
Famous.
is overpaying middle-of-the-line guys.
Yes.
Whoa, you're a second liner and you had a first liner season, all of a sudden going into UFA? Well, damn, let's give you too much money. If there is one person,
Hello, Jason Allison.
Yeah, 100%. I'm thinking more along the lines of, and poor guy, because I freaking loved him, David Clarkson. Like, I mean, it was Jason Blake.
Mike Commissar.
Yeah, like there were guys that, like, middle of the road guys who had a good season, went to UFA, Leafs paid too much.
Hey, was your team good? We'll take your cast-offs and pay them like they're not cast-offs.
So,
Olin, Versteeg.
My question is, yes, it's an overpay now. Mm-hmm. It's a twofold question. Is it an overpay in 3 years? And even if it is an overpay, are stars not the ones worth overpaying?
Well, how much is an overpay, right? Like, to me, like, I hope it ends up the way Leon Draisaitl's contract has ended up.
Mm-hmm. Now, Leon Draisaitl, a little bit different. He scores a lot more goals, right?
Yes, totally different. But this has been the war. So when that contract was signed, I laughed at it. Archaeology laughed at it.
We laughed at it.
A lot of people laughed at it. The fact of the matter is, when Leon Draisaitl signed his contract, his peers, his closest comparables, were not getting $8.5 million for that kind of production. Mm-hmm. They weren't. Now he's a 50-goal scorer, and he's more than worth it. Leon Draisaitl could be making more than Marner right now if he was a restricted free agent at this moment.
Yep.
Marner looks like an overpay. But in 3 years, if he's producing the same number of points, I don't think any of us will be talking about it. I wouldn't be shocked to see the cap take a steep jump.
Now, when I said that on Twitter, people were like, well, it's supposed to say the same for the next 3 years. And 3 years ago...
The cap?
Yeah.
It's going to stay stationary for 3 years?
Because of escrow issues, don't ask.
It's never happened. That's never happened.
But also, 3 years ago, the cap was supposed to escalate to $90 million by this season.
Yes.
So let's just say that we don't know what's going to happen with the cap. However, I got to look this up because somebody actually flagged it for me. Apparently, with the new Seattle deal, and I don't know how this works, so forgive me on this one if I'm wrong, but apparently the $750 million that the Oakview group paid to get into the league, to get the franchise, does not count as revenue for the league in the 50-50 split.
Say that one more time?
So evidently, the $750 million, and I don't know this for sure, so please, let's investigate.
Okay.
So if you know this, please answer it. The $750 million that they paid to the NHL does not count as revenue towards the NHL in the 50-50 player NHL revenue split, which is part of the deal. Don't ask me how. Somebody said that that's the case. I don't know that that's the case. I don't necessarily believe that possibly could be the case unless the NHLPA negotiators are that bad.
Interesting.
Now, one thing I will say is apparently Gary Bettman said that the next NHL TV rights deal, which I believe is up in a couple seasons.
In the States,
will be worth 5 to 7 times what it's worth now. Woo. Which is not hard to believe because the last one was signed at an obnoxiously low price when the NHL salary cap was like at $40 million, right?
Inflation.
It was a really, really bad time for the NHL. Self-inflicted. And that will directly affect the cap. The way that the Rogers deal up here should have affected the cap had the Canadian dollar not fallen and had Canadian teams not completely crapped.
And if they didn't overpay an exaggerated amount.
Sure.
Okay. Hey.
Possible. Possible too.
If maybe they decided to go the NFL TV model and split the TV deal, whatever.
The point is here.
It's because they're paying me so much. They just gave me all the Dangle dollars.
Did you get more or less than Mitch?
Mitch. Poor guy. That's what I call him. Mitch, poor guy.
How much was your signing bonus?
It was $420.69 million.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Million. Did it end in
We'll give you $40.
and 20 cents.
That's right.
You're new here. Get out of the office.
Well, yeah. Hey, we got some Jack Link's jerky in the back. I'm big sponsor on the
That
fan.
has happened.
Yeah, it has. Actually, when I was there, it happened then too. That's why I made the joke.
Yeah, if
We
you
both
work
got
at a
Jack
radio
Link's jerky.
station, always visit your boss.
Yes.
Because they have some promo stuff that they don't want in their office anymore, and they'll give it to you.
So the reality here is that
Sometimes it's beer.
is it an overpay? Yes. Will it be in 3 years? That's an interesting question.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
We don't know.
Now, according to James Myrtle, and this is people freaked out when they first saw this, but let's put this into context. According to James Myrtle, last summer they could have had Marner at 8 years for $9 million per.
Yeah.
But at that point, Mitch Marner's career high in points was 69. Nice.
It would have been, nice.
But also
not
ludicrous.
Yeah, that we would have been screaming about that contract as well, guys.
And interestingly, William Nylander, who was unsigned at that point, his career high was 61 points, which he'd done twice in a row. He would have never settled for the $7 million if Marner got 9 for 8 more points.
You know who would have loved Marner's contract the most? Marner. Second most would have been Nylander.
Yeah.
100%.
And Matthews, who'd just come off a 69-point season himself, which included a 40-goal season before and a 34-goal season in his second, even though he was injured, would not have signed for the deal that they got him for if Marner had signed for $9 million. There's no way. So remember, the thought of giving Mitch Marner $9 million before he played with John Tavares and matured, I don't want to take that away from him. He's an incredible player, and he played with John Tavares, and look at that, explosion of stats for both of them. But the thought of giving him $9 million last summer per season was insane, and you and I said it on the radio together when we hosted.
Yeah, that would have been the Draisaitl contract.
Yes.
That would have been what is this based on?
And they would have had to do it again with Nylander.
Yes.
Because then you got nothing.
And the cap savings, if you take the two into account, it's just not there.
Now, here's the question. Do you believe that any team, Leafs or otherwise, can win with 50% of their salary locked up in 4 players?
After the past 2 years, I think any team can win the Stanley Cup. We might be watching the Sens hoisted.
What if those 4 players, give or take a little, play basically the same position?
Well, there's a bit of an issue.
Interesting.
I mean, Antti Niemi's won the thing, so.
What do you say to people who are worried about how the defense is going to look after this season?
The plan seems fairly obvious, no?
What's the plan, Steve?
So Freddie Anderson's got 2 years left.
Yep.
This year and the next, I think. Riley, I think, has at least 2 years left. But then after that, oh no, what do they do? We'll revisit the defense in a minute. The Leafs' top 9 forwards all have at least 2 years left on their contracts. That's wild! How many NHL teams have their top 9, their entire top 3 lines? And that's not fiddling with the lines at all, guys. That is the Leafs' top 3 lines are all locked up for at least 2 years.
I would say nobody.
That's enviable.
And
it is extremely enviable.
The reason why it's nobody, beyond the fact that it's enviable and that's cool, is the fact that most teams would not want all top 9 of their players to be locked up that long.
Well, here's the thing.
In the Leafs case, you do.
The Leafs' top 9 are good.
Bingo.
Those players are, let's do it. Andreas Johnsson, 4 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew, 6. Mm-hmm. Or no, sorry, 5. And
Tavares, 6.
And Nylander, 5.
Yeah.
Tavares, 6. Marner, 6. And then Hyman is 2.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Moore, who we all forget, is 2.
Is not yet a top 9 guy, though.
He'll be.
He will be, but
I think he
yet.
slots into that slot. I think he slots into third line left wing. Kerfoot, I think, is 3 or 4.
4.
Can't remember.
4
He's
years.
4.
I'm looking at it, but I'm testing your skills.
Kapanen is 3.
Kapanen is 3.
Yeah, there you go.
And Jansson's 4, isn't he?
Johnson is
Jansson's
4.
4.
You said that, yeah.
Okay, we did say that.
That's extremely enviable. And then they have a fourth line.
You're forgetting the most important player. Nick Patan, 2.
He is not a top 9
He's
player.
locked up to 2. I
Nick
forgot about
Patan
that.
is top 6.
Wow.
Second line center, Nick Patan.
Wow.
First. But Matthews on the wing. Take all defensive responsibility away. Forget it. So the Leafs have 10 for. Anyway.
And so then
That's their identity. They score goals.
But Steve, will the fourth line be as effective this season and beyond?
Oh,
You know,
God.
Because
I don't
that
think
question
I
was
care.
being asked a lot.
I don't think I care. I think if Kyle Dubas and Mike Babcock can't figure out a fourth line, then maybe this isn't the business for them.
You know what we might be seeing?
It is your least important line. For the love of God, get it right.
We might be seeing the Leafs be ahead of everyone. Because this has never been done. No one's ever played their players this much. No one's ever put this much emphasis on offense.
Yeah.
They just might be ahead of the curve on the way hockey is going. And this focus on offense and your top players just giving them everything. And then maybe in a couple of years when they have a couple of Stanley Cups on their fingers, who knows?
I hope so.
You know?
As for their defense, Morgan Riley is like one of the best defensive contracts in the NHL. It's freaking amazing. Sandin's going to make the team. I don't know if it's going to be this year or next. Liljegren's going to make the team. I don't know if it's going to be this year or next. I saw a projection. I can't remember who it's from. where Travis Dermott's going to make 3.5. He has not cracked 20 points yet, so I think Travis Dermott would take that.
How is he going to make 3.5?
If it's a long-term deal, then I could see it. But
Yeah, if you give him like
otherwise,
8 years,
I don't know.
then he's just
I don't think so.
Can they keep Muzzin?
Maybe.
I don't know. Can they keep Barry?
Hopefully.
I don't know. But your top four, or there's 4. Basically, in terms of what they have to figure out, I don't think it's as huge and as catastrophic as people are saying.
No, it was huge and catastrophic when Hainsey and Zaitsev were your top 2 right-handed guys.
Yeah.
That was huge and catastrophic.
Like, I know at the beginning of the summer, I was really down on the Leafs heading into the season, but the thing I can't get past, despite my worry about Cody Ceci, despite my worry about that third pair, dude, Tyson Barrie's on the team now.
Yeah.
And the Leafs haven't had a right-handed defender of his quality possibly ever. So,
yeah.
It's not
and also,
bleak.
remember that Tyson Barrie, Jake Muzzin, and Cody Ceci all come off the books next year, too. So if you want to re-sign Tyson Barrie, there's your money.
Could work.
So beyond that, it doesn't matter. Because guess what? The correct answer to that question is, how about we worry about this great season and this great hockey team? That's the correct answer.
Doesn't it feel so much easier to do?
Yes. Just enjoy it. Who cares?
This upcoming year, Muzzin's a UFA, Barry's a UFA, but
Ceci, UFA, tragically.
Oh, yeah, I can stomach that. I feel like most people have it in them to not worry about UFAs quite as much. Special cases, guys like Taylor Hall, if it's the best player on your team.
If you enjoyed Kawhi, enjoy this.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Kawhi, man.
And, did anyone else feel like the he stay thing, that was just playful because we all sort of knew he wasn't?
No, there was
some hope.
Couple weeks there where we thought Toronto were the front
At the
runners.
end.
Yeah.
At the end, I legitimately thought he was staying.
All of that was worth it.
When all the
but
insiders
throughout
came out
the
and proved
season-
themselves not to be insiders because they did not know.
Nobody knew what Kawhi was doing.
Throughout the season, though, all the he stays, I knew he wasn't staying.
Yeah, but
I thought they had a chance to win.
Then we won the championship.
Then we won the
thought he was
championship.
going to stay.
And I still stand by they won a championship. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
I want to get to something.
UFAs are different. I think there's a new mood that we haven't had with this fan base in a year and a half, and we're actually focused on this upcoming season.
Oh, there are 2 more UFAs that are the most important UFAs on this team.
Who?
Nathan Horton and David Clarkson.
Oh, after this season.
Because that means we can take on more contracts and get more assets that way.
Is that how it
Those off
works?
the
LTIR. Hey, quickly, I want to mention this because we are going to continue our conversation with women's hockey in just a little second here with Liz Knox with the hashtag For the Game movement, PWHPA. That'll be in about 5 minutes. But what we need to talk about right now is something that Ray Ferraro tweeted out about Darren Dreger. And I want to address this. He said, I'm waiting for all the guys who took pot shots at Darren Dreger over Marner numbers in the past 2 weeks, saying, geez, Dregs, you were right, including some of the media on Twitter. Easy to critique, quiet as a mouse when they're wrong.
One more time.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for all the guys who took pot shots at Darren Dreger over Marner numbers in the last 2 weeks to say, geez, Dregs, you were right, including some in the media on Twitter. Easy to critique, quiet as a mouse when they're wrong.
Ray and Darren's podcast starts soon, by the way. Listen, was the critique there that the numbers were wrong and made up?
I don't think anybody didn't believe him. I think everybody believed him, but I think the problem was...
Was that the thanks Paul stuff? Was the thanks Paul stuff that we all thought he was wrong?
No, I don't think it was. What was it then, Steve?
I think it was that it seemed fairly obvious to some that his source was within the Marner camp.
Yes.
And like we talked about, how big could the Marner camp possibly be?
Right. So I think where it lost it for me was the perception that he was advocating for it. It was, for me, the perception that, and to be honest with you, no one was forcing him to tweet or say these things the way that he said them.
And it sounds like it's gotten to him. And
that's a shame. Here's the problem.
Yeah, I don't like that.
When I could criticize the method, I don't know him. I've heard he's a perfectly good human being.
Never met him. We exchanged a nod once.
Sure.
That was it.
So I understand the part where, like, when you look at his mentions now, people are just shredding him personally, and it's a character assassination.
They haven't stopped with the thanks Paul stuff.
Yeah, and that's got to stop because, honestly, when you shred someone's character, then it's personal. You're allowed to criticize their method. And in this case, we want to talk members of the media. Well, the ones that I've spoken to are sort of embarrassed for him because of the way this was handled. You know, in not so many words, they said, well, it wouldn't have been me.
Yeah. Well, and this also isn't the first time this has happened where people have wondered about the motives of his reporting. Like, here's a troll from 2012 about the lockout, because a lot of people thought he was really pro-league. Why don't you stop working for TSN and take a job as the NHL's inside man full-time? And Dreger responded, classy. That troll's handle was Kyle Okposo. Yeah, that's weird. It sounds familiar.
Wow.
Yeah. And, back in the day, the pension plan puppets, I think it was Skinny Fish, said he should just change his Twitter account to shit my cousin says during the Nonus era.
Right.
It's not that we think he's wrong.
No, we actually... I think the reason he trends countrywide when he comes out with information like that, which is what he did, is because we know it's correct from one side.
Well, and this is the thing. And, he's got sources just like...
Sure.
Anybody else. It's just, I think you got to be a little bit more stealth about it.
Right.
But, I mean, he's also... He could tell me and everyone else to FO because I'm not Darren Dreger. Darren Dreger makes a lot more money than me. He's had a longer career than me.
And that's
been more successful than me.
But
maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, okay. But I think, when you step into a room and a bunch of people, and 100 people in the room say, that was questionable move, Steve. At a certain point, they can tweet at me, they can be angry at me, they can subtweet or whatever. I won't criticize the person because I don't know the person. And frankly, I'm sure he's a great guy. But the fact is, you lost me when you started to mimic or advocate, which is how I took it, quite frankly, and which is how most of Leafs Nation took it, by the way. It looked like that. Well, and it sounded like that.
This is a tweet from a few months ago. And this is from Dreger. More aggressive extension talk between Leafs and Mitch Marner yesterday. An expectation is more to come today. A 3-year and 5-year, brackets, Matthews, likely best fit for Marner. Like all of the top RFA players, other scenarios in play as well. Did you need a reminder that Matthews' deal was 5 years? I knew. I think most fans, what was the purpose of that inclusion? That seemed puzzling to me, and it seemed puzzling to me for months. I don't know. I think criticism is warranted.
But not character assassination.
No, yeah.
So knock
if you're
going
to give it, you got to be able to take it. I don't like when people get their feelings hurt. Can we move on?
Did the media cover the whole contract situation incorrectly?
I think everybody?
Yeah. It seems like it was kind of fungled.
Fungled.
I think
it's a word
I like that. I think that you had an agent who was leaking information to reporters.
Yeah, man.
And I think you had an agent that wanted this.
Should people who received the information have said, no, I'm not going to go with this, or just not tweet it out?
Well, they did.
Yeah.
It just wasn't that one person.
Yeah.
They did do that. The thing about...
Dude, it's always awful with this agent.
Yes, of course.
It's always awful.
The thing is that this agent has a manifesto. This is what this agent does. And the problem is that he followed it to a T. We all saw it coming. We even knew that he would threaten to go to Europe, and guess what he did? And when you get a source...
Still crazy.
When you get we called it,
It's still crazy that happened.
Hey, everyone, get your Zadina Zurich jerseys now. Get them now.
Wait. The point I'm trying to make here is that you have to cross-reference. Your source can't just be one thing. You have to cross-reference, or at least that's what I was told for the little I know about journalism. And guys did. Darren Ferris was not talking to just one reporter. Period. There's just not.
No.
There was multiple reporters, but there were guys that were like, gonna hold back on that. Don't know if I can verify that from the other side.
Right.
And that's the difference. And come at me, be pissed off at me, don't like it. I still follow Darren Dreger, still interested in what he has to say because I believe he's legitimately connected. He is. He's proven that. And by the way, people were like, well, Freach broke it 10 seconds before Dreger did. Whatever. They both broke the fucking story.
Nobody broke something this big.
Yes and no. Come
on.
He said...
Could happen tonight, might not happen
probably
this week.
6 years, don't know when it's going to happen. Then Freach said, done.
Yeah.
So if you want to go by done, it was Freach, but
by 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And who cares?
Or you could go, CJ said it could happen today.
And you know what? I want to give CJ a shout out because he came on this show after the season ended, and this is exactly what he predicted would happen. He said Marner will be signed by Kemp. Yeah.
Oh, Marner will be
He
signed
said
by
this
Kemp.
will happen. It did.
And when you look at it going backwards, we should have seen this coming. Like, knowing Mitch Marner and who he is and the team and everything, we should have known he'd be ready at training camp.
I could see him waiting till October 1st.
At least for the season.
Sure.
Yeah.
We should have never thought that he would sit out any game because
he
there was
couldn't.
no winning for that side if that ever happened. If he
Yeah.
missed a single
Then the
game
Leafs
of the
literally
regular
can't do
season. Yeah, and
Well-
the Leafs were in a hole where they had only amount of money. He was in a hole where he's not going to sit out any regular season games.
Or he
and
could make 150,000 playing for Zurich.
yeah, that's great. We should have seen this coming.
The PR thing today, like, he turned down the offer sheets because he loves Toronto, and we're all just going, blah, blah, blah. Who cares?
I don't doubt that, by the way.
Me neither.
I think
but,
that's exactly why he turned them down, because he wants to play here.
Yeah, but also
That's not news.
at the same time. But the one thing about it that is positive PR to me is the fact that it got done before he missed any games. He's going to be in their first preseason game tomorrow.
Today.
Today? What day is today?
Oh, I can't wait.
They
I'm gonna watch
tweet
it.
out the lineup. I'll check if he's in.
Oh, okay.
And let us.
I thought it was tomorrow.
Let us.
maybe I have it
Okay,
wrong.
please
Whatever.
continue. Please continue.
Oh, my bad. Anyway, he's not missing a single exhibition game.
Tuesdays. Yes.
All that stuff about him legitimately loving hockey and not being
True.
able to stay away from it seems true. And I love that the best parts of Mitch Marner that I believe in seem to be true.
He seems
I
like a
love that.
great guy.
Yeah.
And this is what I said before. Mitch Marner. Love the player. Hate the deal.
Did you see the meme? You're not a bad player. Or no, you are a bad contract, but you're not a bad player.
Exactly. And you know what? It's not even that bad of a deal. The end is we get to watch Mitch Marner play hockey in his prime in a Leafs jersey, and that's the way it should be.
Cannot wait.
We're done with this, but we do have more RFA talk. But first, we've got to talk to Liz Knox. We're going to bring her
Yes.
on. She's part of the PWHPA. And we're going to contextualize this a little bit more with her when we get her on the phone here, because this is a really important thing. These women are the best women in women's hockey, and they are sitting out. They are refusing to play for the one women's professional hockey league, and we're going to talk to her about why and what they're doing instead. So we're bringing on Liz Knox from the PWHPA, hashtag for the game. You can check out pwhpa.com. Now, if you don't know Liz, she's a professional women's ice hockey goaltender. She was a member of the Canadian national women's ice hockey team that captured gold at the 2011 Winter. How do you spell it? How do you say this? Universiade?
Yeah, you got it.
Is that right? Oh my God. Okay, I didn't know how to say that. And you were also selected 18th overall in the 2011 CWHL draft. Thank you, Liz, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
No problem. I don't tell too many people that 18th overall. That's a little embarrassing.
Is that embarrassing? I don't know. Listen, if I could have been top 20 at anything, like I just think back to when I got picked at dodgeball, and it was second to last or last. I'm not going to lie, 18th would have been great.
Yeah, but embarrassing to who, Liz? I mean, your career worked out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was a good run. It was a good time.
Yeah, the only thing it should embarrass is the scouts.
Yeah. Come on now.
Aw, you guys are too nice to me already.
Trying.
So, and let me just say this. So you're a member of the PWHPA. And this, I'm going to quote directly from your website, but we want to kind of get into this because we're trying to understand the story that you guys, or the struggle that you guys are going through, and sort of the story that's unfolding in front of us. So the PWHPA is, according to the website, composed of the best women's hockey players from around the world. They represent all levels of experience: Olympic medalists, world champions, veteran professionals, and recent college graduates. The PWHPA will help our members by coordinating training needs, optimizing their opportunities, and driving support from sponsors, which I think that last one's sort of key, right? Because it's about a livable wage.
Yes.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So can you tell us a little bit about the Dream Gap Tour? Because obviously you guys have said, and you said this months ago, we're taking a step back. Women's hockey needs to correct itself, and we want to talk to you about that vision in a second. But tell us a little bit about the Dream Gap Tour, going to different cities, showcasing talent.
Yeah, the Dream Gap Tour is basically just that. It's highlighting the fact that, when I was graduating from preschool, which is, over 25 years ago now.
Us too.
Yeah.
I said I wanted to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs because that's the hockey that I had access to, and that was professional hockey, and I wanted to be a pro hockey player. And the Dream Gap is about the fact that you could probably find a young girl, similar to my upbringing, And if you ask her where she wants to play hockey, there's a good chance she wants to play in the NHL.
Yeah.
And it's basically bridging that gap. Let's create something that young girls have to aspire to, because we know the benefits of sport and staying in sport, and we know that females drop off at 2 to 3 times the rate that boys do around the age of 14. And so why is that, right? And the reality is that there's no longevity for it. So especially when you're in those pivotal teenage years and you're trying to figure yourself out, if I can't make money doing it, why would I keep doing it, right? So It's about just bringing visibility to our sport and creating that dream for the next generation.
And it's important because as a female athlete, especially in hockey, because in tennis, golf, even with basketball, there are female athletes you can look up to if you're a young girl, and say that's who I want to be. But you said it well at the beginning, because you said I want to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. There was no Toronto team that would have supported you, and that's sort of the issue here, is that it's representation, and beyond that, it's showcasing of talent. Because quite frankly, my first exposure to women's hockey was when I was 10, and the women's team won. It was gold at Nagano, wasn't it, or was it silver?
Nagano was silver. Salt Lake,
that's
they
right.
won gold.
But it was Nagano for me. So Droulet and Wickenheiser and Campbell and all of the great players that were on that team. And so, it's important for us to grow up and understand and know and be able to relate to people that we can recognize ourselves in, correct?
Yeah, and I think Mel DeRoche, who's a player on Montreal, she said it perfectly. She said, by the time I got to see my heroes play live, they were my teammates.
Wow.
And I think that's like bone chilling, right? Like, you grow up and we're not far off in age. And the first time I saw women's hockey on TV, I was, 12, 13 years old, and I only got to see it once every 4 years. So it wasn't really a dream of mine to play at the Olympics, because I didn't even know, I had no idea how to even make it happen. So, I kept playing because I loved it, but it's just not, it's not as concrete as the guys have it. And yeah, you grow up and you finally make a team that you're, you feel like you're at the pinnacle of your career, and you're looking across the dressing room and you're seeing Jana Hefford or Lori Dupuis, these people that I grew up idolizing.
So with the Dream Gap Tour, you guys are going to different cities and you're playing games, correct?
Yeah.
That's cool. So tell us a little bit about that, because that's got to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it'll bring a product of women's hockey that we haven't seen yet. The rivalry series last year was a huge success, Canada-US, but, that's a story that we keep seeing, Canada-US, Canada-US. So it's taking those rosters and, the elite level player that's a non-national team member and fresh out of college, and putting them all in the mix. And it's not Canada versus USA. It's it's white and navy, and you're going to see some names that and you recognize the numbers on the back of their jersey, but they're on a line with somebody that you've never seen them on a line with before. And it'll be a lot of fun to see, but also the days leading up to it and our time off in between, it'll be about connecting in those communities and just educating fans and parents on why we're doing what we're doing and why it's important for them.
In looking at the website, by the way, you can grab tickets to this and you can check it out when it's going to come to your town. And I encourage you to do so, pwhpa.com. One of the things that the website doesn't say, Liz, and this is what we really want to ask you about today, is there's no stated goal, at least none that I could find, beyond this season. As in, with the PWHPA, what is the long-term plan?
Yeah, we want to see a professional league. We want to see women able to make a livable wage so that they can train full-time. And our Olympic athletes right now can do that to an extent, but, a lot of them are still in careers. And we just don't have that right now. So in terms of your timeline question, I hope it doesn't take us much more than this year. But who knows? We're started off, we're 4 months in. We've seen some incredible support from, NHL franchises and some major sponsors really stepping up and believing in our mission. And I think that's a good indication that, this isn't a forever thing. But if you guys know the PLL at all, very similar to what they're doing is they're taking their product on the road and hitting these communities and, just trying to build a little bit of momentum to see that revenue and to see that buy-in from the market, because, it's women's hockey, but it's hockey, and hockey fans are hockey fans, just like soccer fans are soccer fans. And I think that's one area that we're a little behind in right now is that, our fan base is growing, but we could be supporting it a little bit better.
So there was a flurry of news sort of all at once, and I was blindsided by all of it. One was the CWHL saying they were going to close shop. And then a lot of people posted the, for the game sort of manifesto there on Twitter and on Instagram. What was the week or month leading up to that like?
Other than absolutely zero sleep.
Well, yes.
I can only imagine.
What can you remember?
Yeah, it was it really shook us. We, as players, we had no indication that the CW was in that kind of dire situation that we would have to shut the doors. And, it was shocking. And it was kind of an organic thing that just happened. I tell the story, the league shut down, and 2 days later, our girls are over in Finland playing at the World Championship. Mm-hmm. And the day before Canada plays U.S., they have both full rosters in a boardroom discussing what are we going to do? What are we going to do about pro hockey? And
wow.
in 24 hours, they're going to rip each other's throats out on the ice. So, if there's any indication of, how important this is to our players, that's it. So it was an organic movement that just kind of happened, and it was, the leadership that stepped up and familiar faces and voices that we've seen advocating for women's sport in general. It just kind of came together, and we didn't have time to think about it, honestly. It was, what are we going to do first? And, and then it was next step. And it's just been that way kind of all summer.
It was a boiling point, right? There was really nowhere else to go.
That's exactly it. We felt like the CWHL, the quality of the hockey that was on the ice was the best I had seen. And my first Clarkson Cup was in 2011. So, the better part of a decade, and the product is growing, the fan base is growing, we're seeing a lot more interest generated. And so, by all indications, I thought we're set. We're making the strides that we needed to see, and then it was like, bam, door shut, right? So I think that, one of the positive takeaways from it is one of the areas that we struggled in was getting sponsorship, getting big sponsorship dollars, not just a bucket of pucks here and some water balls there, but getting some real dollars and people who understand that, the values that we're portraying here are inherent in their corporate values.
Well, and it's, sorry, please continue. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, and just to that point, Sportsnet broadcast the Clarkson Cup, and I believe it hit 150,000 viewers, is the most watched.
It was a lot.
Yeah, outside of the Olympics that we'd ever seen.
Yeah.
The one thing, though, that I think has given people a lot of questions is the fact that you're sitting this year out and, they look at it and go, what do you mean there's no other place to go? The NWHL exists. And so I have to ask, if we're talking about sustainable women's hockey, what is it about the NWHL that you guys are just, it doesn't jive you? What is the situation there?
Well, especially in the Canadian markets, we had discussions with the NW early on and their Players Association just to understand, what are our employment, what's our visa going to look like? Can I still work for full-time up here? Do I have travel insurance? Do I have health insurance on the ice? Questions that really impact your playing experience, and we didn't get the answers. So
was it that they didn't get back to you, or was it that they just didn't know?
They just didn't know. And they'd already, announced their expansion into Toronto and Montreal. So it was like, well, if you're going to expand into these markets, shouldn't this be some of your research that you've done ahead of time? And, that's a red flag to our players. And, we saw what happened in the first year with the NWHL when they had to cut the salaries by 64%, which is another red flag. And it just seemed like a too good to be true option. And as we started to dig and ask more questions, practicing once a week and playing one game a week to us after coming out of the CWHL where we're practicing 2 to 3 times a week, be able to lift with our teammates, getting 2 games in a weekend, it was a big hit for us in terms of our development on the ice. And then, if the expansion doesn't happen, well, how am I going to travel to Buffalo or New York every weekend for 1 game, and I'm working still full-time up here? It's just, I commend their efforts, and I appreciate the fact that these things take work, but I'm coming from a place where I've already been here and I've already been doing this work, and I don't want to have to do the work again. Let's really make this full stride forward, and that's what the PWHPA is set to do.
So even if the insurance thing had been worked out, like it's still just not even close to a viable option, right?
Well, you're playing 1 game a weekend.
Right.
Like, that's not enough hockey. I mean,
Right.
we're addicts here.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, I guess the question then becomes, okay, well, yes, you're only playing once a week, and yes, you're only practicing once a week, but the revenue dictates a lot of that. And having you guys sit out, and this is a criticism that I've seen, having you guys sit out, how will that grow that? If you guys were all playing, not necessarily this season, but if it was building, because there's always been this chasm in women's hockey. It's the NWHL, the CWHL. Now it's the PWHPA and the NWHL. And you may not look at it like that, but they're 2 distinct parties every time. And so what do you say to those people that say, well, wait a second here, the revenue hasn't justified more than 1 game and more than 1 practice a week?
Well, I would say the first thing is that, we would be in a 1 league situation had the NWHL never started. And if we're in a 1 league situation, that whole thing, I don't know if people know this.
No, please explain that. Explain that, for sure.
So the CWHL started in 2007, and the NWHL was basically born. It was an idea that we would expand into the States. And so, there was meetings had and information given, and then come the fall, the NWHL started up. So, that's out of my wheelhouse. That's not an issue that I have to deal with, but now we're in a 2-league situation. Many people think that we've always been in a 2-league situation.
Interesting.
We haven't. So the fact that, you have CWHL players, and there's loyalties on both sides, don't get me wrong. There's people that would never play CW, and I understand and respect that. And there's CWHL players that would never play NW. So there is this dichotomy that's growing, but the intentions of the CWHL were always to build it to a point that they could no longer, that it had outgrown them, and pass it off to somebody who would inherit the business and push it forward the next step. So a few little speed bumps along the way and a few roadblocks along the way for sure. But if you look at any successful sport on TV, the World Juniors, let's say, it's a hockey tournament. It's a hockey tournament that's been going on for decades that we only know about because TSN saw it and said, it's Christmas time, we're with our families, and we're Canadians. We love hockey.
And at the time, it was extremely cheap programming.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at the early 90s clips of the World Juniors, there's like 2 rows of seats. Nobody went to them.
And now you look at it and look at what it's become, right? But it takes the investment of somebody who's done it, who's been there, and we just haven't seen that women's hockey yet.
And 100%. And I guess the thing that people struggle with, Liz, is that they see from the outside. They may not know the history between the 2 leagues, but also they see the outside and they say, well, okay, wait a second. You've got a league here that's founded by women, and women are refusing to play in it. And there is the alternate to go, okay, well, because this is what people are saying. I'm not saying that this is your goal, but a lot of people are speculating that the hope with the PWHPA is that the NHL steps in if the NWHL folds, creates its own league, and much like the NBA did with the WNBA, creates a sustainable model. And I guess, what would you say to people who say, well, wait a second, you've got a league already. Yes, there's history. Yes, there were some bad things that happened. But at what point do you come together and say, okay, forget it, let's put it aside, let's even change the name, who cares, but let's move forward?
Yeah, I don't think that's impossible. I think if we take out the whole, the gender of everything and who started what, I personally believe there's a bigger divide between people who think that women's hockey needs a bigger body to step in and support, and there's the people that believe they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that they don't, but it's going to take a lot longer because that's what the CWHL was.
Right. Okay.
Right?
And is it your goal to have, is it the unstated goal of the PWHPA to have the NHL step in and have a similar setup with the WNBA?
Not specific to the NHL.
Okay.
But we need the support of people who've been there, done that.
Right.
That's inherent. That's a belief that I have for exactly the same reason I just said. We could do the CWHL all over again. And, there's certainly a lot of pride in starting something from the grassroots up, but it takes a lot of time. And the people that, I surround myself with, we've already put in our 15 years.
You have.
So
Yeah.
are we going to wait another 15 years and sit and have this conversation again? I hope not.
So it was a matter of, well, CWHL obviously closed up shop, so I guess that made that fairly simple. And then you're looking at the NWHL. So regardless of the fact that the league is there, it's just not good enough. And so you're looking for major start over change.
Yeah, and I don't think it's they're doing a lot of good things. The NWHL has things that are different than what the CWHL was at 5 years into their inception. But the fact of the matter is, it feels the same. And for player experience and watching history recreate itself, our thing when the CWHL folded was, okay, we can take a sidestep and go back to something that we're familiar with, something that we're comfortable with, and make $2,500 for the year, and I'll keep working my full-time job. And we have girls that have started families, or let's take a step back. Let's be a little bit more accountable for our actions. And it's hard, man. I
can only imagine.
You're talking about the best players in the world saying they would rather not play hockey this year to try to create something bigger than go and play hockey. We're
Right.
athletes, you know what I mean? It's in our blood to want to play the sport that we love. So I understand, a lot of the criticism has been, they're taking a year off, they're taking the easy way out. Man, I've put in more work in the last 4 months than I ever did as an athlete. And it's all just to create something not for me. It's for the next generation, and we want it to happen sooner.
Yeah, I assume you didn't get into athletics for the paperwork.
Exactly. 30 emails a day.
No, yeah. It's gross, isn't it? It sucks. I feel you there.
What's something you've learned through this sort of part of the process, this behind the scenes, organization, everything?
Oh my gosh, where do I even start?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a lot of communication and a lot of making sure that you trust the people you're working with. And that's one thing that I've been really, inspired by. Meeting people like Kendall Coyne, who, I'm still a fan of women's hockey, and she just absolutely killed the NHL All-Star weekend.
So good.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
So, being on the phone with her and getting to know the people that we have on the board and people that I was able to bring on from the CWHLPA, and it's not just players too. It's our general managers and figureheads that have been around the game that they're knocking on our door just saying, how can I help? And I think that's one thing that has been really inspiring to me. And when I have my days, and I do have my days where I'm just absolutely exhausted and why am I doing this? There's a handful of reasons in just looking across the table.
What does a league that you think everyone will get behind look like? Is it just full-time jobs? Is it a TV contract? What does that league look like?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, the broadcasting is a huge part of it. It's not worth creating something if nobody can see it. And, it was disappointing in one of our last years of the CWHL to still have fans be like, oh, I didn't know there was women's hockey in Toronto. That's a huge accessibility issue, and one that we have to break down. Definitely the livable wages. Even just, I was fortunate when I played in Markham, we had a locker room. Our third goalie, completely constructed herself, and we all helped her put it together. So it was, it was amazing. But a lot of the teams didn't even have a home room to go to. Mm-hmm. So you're carrying your bag to and from practice, and I've played games against teams that we had to share the showers after the game, share bathrooms after the game. It's just we did a good job of faking it while we were there, but it's not professional, and I think it's everything that you would think of as professional. You show up and you have tape and bubble gum. It's little things, and then it's also the big things. A livable wage so that our girls can train full time.
What's your reaction to the news that the NWHL's partnered with Twitch? Because obviously I don't know a ton about the deal. I don't know how much money it's worth, but to me it's a really neat outside the box idea that if it works for them, it could work for anyone down the line potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you can get your product to viewers, it's a good deal, and I'm with you. I don't know the ins and outs of it. It being an e-gaming site, maybe it works for them. I honestly don't know enough about it, but it's the same. If your game's on YouTube, well, yeah, it's accessible, but are people going to go out of their way to watch it? I don't know.
So we had Anya Packer on the last show with the NWHLPA. God, there's so many letters. And I'm just trying to get them all right. Getting things right is not my forte. So one of the things she mentioned was, it alluded to anyway, it seemed to be a lack of communication between the Fourth Game Movement and the NWHLPA. One's a players' association and the other is
an association of players.
An association of players. I think that's a good way of putting it. What has communication been like? I know you mentioned the sometime around the formation of the For the Game movement, you spoke. Well, what's the communication been like since then?
Yeah, you know what? I think we had our conversations with the NWHLPA, and we had our conversations with the NWHL. You're right. See, now even I'm stuffing it up.
Right? It's a lot.
But like I said, I mean, we had our questions, and they didn't have answers, and we've sat around that table for long enough, I think, is the consensus. And at this point, having those further conversations are just not a priority to us. We have a lot of things going on, and we've set our goals for this year, so we're going to keep plugging away.
And I got to just be upfront with this because it seems this way on certain levels, and you for sure correct me if I'm wrong. Is there something personal between the movement and Danny Ryland?
I've never met Danny Ryland, so I have nothing personal against him.
No, yeah, and I don't mean like. Sorry.
I've never met Brad Marchand.
I guess in a personal reference, I meant the way that they're conducting business. I think I could have worded that question better.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. It's hard to say because as a commissioner of a league, I mean, you guys know this. You're never going to be everyone's favorite.
No,
right?
You got to be slippery.
You're lucky if you're, 50% of everyone's favorite. So, as a figurehead, you take the heat of things that go wrong, and you take, the glory of things that go right. So that's just kind of inherent in the position that she holds, and it is what it is.
So then let me ask you this better question: if she was not a part of the picture, would this picture look a lot different?
Tough to say. I don't. It would depend on how much would change. Right. I mean, fundamentally, there's still so many things about the league that don't put us on the path of creating this sustainable future, in the next 5 years. So
with that, then, to me anyway, and I don't know what you know. So you may have this other complete bomb that you're going to drop of information later on, and you can go, ha, see? Knew I had something. And so just know that before I ask this question.
Should have had me on next week.
But yeah, exactly. But the way that seems perfectly obvious, and you don't have to confirm or deny this, to all of us is working with the NHL. And you said it earlier in the interview. We got to work with people that have been there. The NHL has been taken to task over the last few years on its sluggishness on substance abuse, performance-enhancing drugs, LGBTQ plus issues, and its stance on CTE. It's made up of 31 owners, majority men, unless they're a corporation, like in the Leafs case. They're business people, only interested in making money. Is there a chance that you can get these people who, I'm sorry to say, are not always known to be altruistic, They're hard-hitting business people. It's why they've made so much money. Is it going to be a tough sell on a league that if you guys want to be paid a living wage, we're talking, I don't even know what the number would be, but we all know what a living wage is, okay? Is it going to be a tough sell? Or how are you going to sell these guys on a league that I think initially will lose money?
I mean, I think, your answer is in your question, right? They're a league that, first of all, we have to separate the league from the owners.
Okay.
And there are good owners.
Of course.
They're businessmen, but they understand culture. They understand creating positive culture, and they understand what creating positive culture can do for business. And if you want to talk about, their support of LGBTQ communities, let's say, or, the list that you named off, support women's hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a whole market of people that you can hit that you haven't yet. And,
so you're saying it's a PR win, and it's also great for the culture.
There you go. Right. And
Okay.
yes, I mean, financially, will it be a hit for them in the beginning? Most likely. If it's something they believe in, they won't let it fail.
Right.
And if it's something they believe in, they'll do it.
Amazing. Well, see, this is why I wanted to ask that question, because it's an important question to ask whenever you're in, and I don't want to call this a labor dispute, because that's not what it is. We're talking about a full course change here.
It's pretty unique.
Yes,
I would say.
yeah, absolutely. Well, this is the kind of stuff, like, if you go back in the history of the NHL, and the whole reason the NHL formed is because everybody hated in the original league. And I couldn't even tell you what the acronym for that is, because we've had way too many acronyms thrown at us. The owner from Toronto, of all places, was the one that pissed everybody off. So all the other owners said, you know what, we're out of here. And they formed their own league, and that league was called the NHL. And that's how they started it. And they left out this guy from Toronto. This is, and if that happened today, oh my God, what a crazy course correction. But it was this tiny little league back then. This is one of those things where I think we look back in 100 years and go, that's akin to what's happening right now. We've got a league in its genesis. We're just waiting to see how that forms. And
I couldn't agree with you more, honestly. And I read, a few months ago, an article on Ted Lindsay, and I was like, I'm reading my life right now. We're losing players because they have to go get jobs. They can't keep playing hockey, and they're not being protected here. And it's not worth their time or, their health to be out on the ice and get a concussion and then, try to figure out how to go to work the next day. So it's like, yeah, and this is part and parcel of, women's hockey is, on the grand scheme of things, very young. But like you say, what side of history do you want to land on? Because you're looking at it right now.
And just to give a little bit more hope and context to the story, it took 6 years for the ABA and the NBA to merge finally to the NBA that we know today. And in between that time, in 1972, the U.S. Senate had a bill to pass to allow the merger. So it took Congress to get involved just for 2 weeks to get together.
Yeah, and look at the American League and the National League merged. It was the AFL and the NFL. They AFL and NFL, right? So there's precedence for this. It's just a matter of coming together. And what we can say, Liz, is first off, we really genuinely appreciate your time and your candor on all of these subjects, because quite frankly, we came into this with no agenda other than to find out your side. And I don't mean to make this too personal. I'm the father of a young daughter. If she gets into sports when she's older, the only thing I want her to be able to do is look up to people that she can recognize and identify with. And so we do hope that whether it's the two sides coming together, whether it's something completely new, all we want is for this to work. So we wish you the best of luck with it.
Oh, I really appreciate it, guys. And thanks for your time, and thanks for, helping us educate on what we're doing and why we're doing it.
One last thing. When this is all said and done, are you going to get back in net or be in some other role?
Oh, gosh, no.
You're not going back in net? What? You're done?
I've had enough hockey this summer for the rest of my life. So.
Oh, wow.
No, you know what? I'm happy to change hats a little bit and put my efforts elsewhere. So it was an incredible career, and Met a lot of amazing people along the way, but excited to see where the next chapter leads.
Okay, all right. Sorry, follow-up question. I know we're supposed to wrap this up.
Okay, there, iceberg.
Yeah, I know. Liz, are you more coach or GM?
Oh, I would say probably more GM.
Whoa! All right.
Yeah.
Always logs into franchise mode on NHL 20.
I thought you were going to ask me if I could come out to your Sunday night league or something.
No, well, we can use that.
You can. Like, for sure you can.
Hey, do you want to come play with us? We have this big charity tournament coming up. We could really use some goaltending.
Yeah, man, hit me up.
Well, again, like we said, we genuinely appreciate your side. Understand not all the questions are easy, but respect and are obviously rooting for you guys as well. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, true story. Last night I was reaching out to the members of the two teams that we set up last year.
For the Easter Seals.
Yeah, and the goalie for the other team pulled out. So,
how about we're taking Liz? Sorry. Wait, no. Our team gets Liz.
Yeah, our team gets Liz.
Steve.
No matter whatever
yeah.
goalie you've promised
No,
can
I
play
don't care.
for us, we're bumping them.
Yeah.
Oh, we're taking the good one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We're team one, so we're getting the goalie, okay? For God's sakes.
Listen.
Give us Liz.
Listen, we're signing her to... We're saying she signed to a contract that she has not even seen.
Also, since we're here, if everybody wants to go to my Twitter profile and click on the pinned tweet and please donate to my Easter Seals donation page, that would be very helpful. I am trying to raise $3,500 this time
go.
around.
I like
pretty
that.
good.
Let's try and hit that number for me.
I'm trying to hit 50,000 because I'm unreasonable. So help Jesse get to 3,500.
No, I'm gonna do 2,000. 2,000. Make a reason. A little more.
We'll keep her going. You're still,
2,000.
I think you're top 10 in the tournament.
Really?
On account of we're 2 months out.
Yeah.
Most people haven't signed up yet.
I've raised $105 so far, and we're gonna try and hit $2,000. So
There you go. Excellent.
And you want to hit 50,000.
I want to hit 50,000 because I don't care.
Adam, what's your number going to be this
do
time
it.
around?
What did I do last year? 3?
I think you did. You did quite a
did
bit.
well.
You almost hit like 5,000.
Yeah,
didn't
you did well.
overall?
Well, then I
Yeah.
guess I should set it at 5, right? Should I do 5?
Sure.
$5,000.
Set it for 5.
$5,000.
You both
I haven't
did
set up my
really well.
profile yet, but I will.
All right. Your profile. So
And
people
like I did last year, I'll give it about 2 weeks.
people can't. So people can't donate to your profile
Not
right
yet,
now.
because
All
I
right.
haven't set it up yet.
So send all your money for Adam to me or Steve.
I sent you an email last night.
You did.
Yes, it did.
You did. But I have what's called a baby. And what happened with that, and I'm not making excuses, I'm just saying I fell asleep.
CelebrityHockeyClassics.com, the Eric Lindros Celebrity Hockey Classic.
In support of Easter Seals, which supports.
Kids with physical disabilities.
There you go.
Thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like I have to tell you, when I was setting up for that interview, I think there were a lot of things about this, and a couple episodes ago I said them, and I got heat for it. But a lot of the questions that I wanted answers to are there. I mean, it's we understand now what the stated goal is. Although I really do think that they should put that on the website. Like, here's our goal.
Yeah.
You know.
I think some of it is in the initial thing that they put out.
Sure.
But it's also an ongoing and evolving
Fluid thing.
situation, so you can't just be like, well, refer to this.
Well, I think that saying, listen, the eventual goal here is to have a league isn't the worst thing. Maybe it does say that, and it does definitely say that in the manifesto. I just think it's really it was refreshing to hear her talk about it. The thing that I think I take away the most is that there seemed to be an openness with the pre-existing league that I didn't think was there. There seemed to be listen, if things changed a little bit, maybe we'd look at something. Now, I don't know that the NWHL could accommodate that.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't think the For the Game movement is unreasonable. It's just
The most refreshing thing, I think, what she said was when she said that league's not good enough. You know, like it sounded like they weren't willing to settle for going backwards to the NWHL.
I can understand that, having to build your own locker room. That might be a problem. Like,
Right.
yeah, that's true. And like having to share the
showers with the people.
And I understood that when she said, I was like, okay, yeah. If I'm in that situation, I don't want to go back to the NWHL, and I want to build my own league. I got that.
and stuff like, well, so what? You got a full-time job. I work for a living. Yeah, you didn't get run over by Hillary Knight yesterday.
And also, can I just throw this
You can't
out
go to
there?
the Olympics, sir.
You're not as talented.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not.
You don't have a gold medal to your name.
And I would admit that I am not as talented.
No.
The thing is that what people need to understand is when you have a high-class talent like that, there is value to that. And as she said, and I thought the World Juniors thing was really important, they took one broadcaster to say, you know what, we're going to pick this up because it's Christmas and what the hell. And that's literally what TSN did. It was like, we're going to turn this into a thing because it's hockey programming over Christmas and it's easy for us. And it's turned into this massive phenomenon.
I don't remember caring about the World Juniors until like high school.
Yeah.
Until it became a TV sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what needs to happen here.
Marc-Andre Fleury scored on himself.
In those yellow pads.
Oh my God.
or whatever the next TV is. Because to me, TV is universal. YouTube is TV. It's just a different screen.
Yes.
I've been yelling and screaming this for over a decade.
Yeah. Now, try explaining that to our broadcasting friends, and they do not get that.
Yeah.
But the Twitch deal with the NWHL is an interesting one because it's hitting people where you want. You want growth market, 1834s. You want 1834s because they're the ones that'll be with you the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And if you can hit them there where they already are, like what I keep saying, we have this thing in media where they want to. It's the bread analogy, which someone gave me the other day, and I thought it was a really great analogy. So I'm going to quote them, but I won't say the name of the person that said this. They said, "Listen."
It was Darren Dreger.
No, it was not Darren Dreger.
It was Darren Ferris.
Ferris,
Yes.
yes.
It was Paul Marner.
It was the Ferris wheel himself. No, it was okay. So what do you do to sell a loaf of bread? How do you bring up the cost of a loaf of bread? Well, you make the bread and you try to jack up the price. But when no one buys it at your price, what do? Well, you buy hopefully the grocery store that it's sold in. You try it again. Still nobody. Then what do? Well, you buy the farms that the bread's made on. So you're buying the entire process of making the bread. You buy the ovens, you buy whatever it is it takes.
Yeah.
And then you buy up all the other farms. And then all of a sudden you can jack the price up because that's the only price people can pay. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of what's happened with bread, believe it or not, in real life. With broadcasting.
I always learn with Adam.
With broadcasting, for the longest time, the broadcasters owned, at least in Canada, were cable companies. Mm-hmm. They owned the bread, they owned the farm, and they owned the store.
Before that, there were 4 channels.
Yeah.
There was NBC, ABC,
CBS.
CBS, and then what was the other one?
There's
3 big ones. And then,
NBC, ABC,
and then your
CBS,
local
and Fox was a little bit later on, but
later on. Anyways.
And there's public broadcasters,
Yes.
WNED, shoutouts. The point here is that broadcasters right now are still trying to control, cable companies are still trying to be cable companies, right? They're still trying to be the guys that service you the cable. And what's happened is the younger public has moved on.
Yeah.
And they are on Twitch and they're on YouTube and we are a perfect example of that. We are a show that exists without a major network support. And always have. We've been associated with a major network, but we have never been supported by one.
We've always owned the show.
Yes, and
Always.
we will continue to own the show. We own
Yes.
all the rights. This is ours. The point I'm trying to make here is that I think I have to applaud the NWHL for that Twitch deal because I think that's really, really smart. And
maybe it can be a forerunner for something else.
Yes, exactly. And I wonder if when people come together, it's like, okay, that's a part that's different. You know what I mean? That's the type of stuff that creates change. And maybe if the NWHL is associated with this at the end of it, maybe it folds, maybe it doesn't. But when the players inevitably come together, because they have to, and they know that, both sides know that, whether it's a new league or this league, something like that is going to be really key. Something like that is going to change the game for them eventually, making those games available. And, TSN, when it started broadcasting the World Juniors, was a premium cable channel. You paid an extra $2 a month, which my parents thought was outrageous.
That is outrageous.
But I wouldn't let them drop it because it's the only channel I used to watch. I loved it.
Right.
I think that it is very, very interesting watching this happen because I think what we're seeing is history sort of unfolding right now. And if you're not paying attention, I think you're missing out because this is fascinating stuff, and we have no idea where it's going to go.
The eureka moment's coming.
You think so?
Well, I
think
know.
we're still
I think
far
it's going
off.
to take a while.
No, yeah, it's going to take a while, but it's coming. and I can picture it. Whereas, like it's a little cruel to say, but like with the CWHL, there was always this "I'm fully rooting for you" thing, but I'm like, how does this happen? How does this work?
I think I mentioned it last show. Saskia and I interviewed Cassie Campbell-Pascal about it, and she's like, this can't work. And she was on the board for the CWHL.
Yeah. And once a year we go, hooray for the All-Star game, and it gets on TV and it does numbers. That's it.
Jesse, we have breaking news?
We have breaking news. Steve Dangle, you're going to be the most happy about this breaking news. Please read this tweet from our dear friend, reporter Chris Johnston.
Oh, interesting. Okay. The NHLPA has decided not use. I think Chris might have misspelled his own tweet. The NHLPA has decided not to use its option to reopen the CBA. The current agreement now runs through September 15th, 2022.
Hey. Guys, we're going to be okay for a little while longer.
Yeah!
But then we won't.
Shut up! 3 years is good! That sounds like 3 years from now is a problem.
You know
how much smaller my mortgage is going to be? Marginally.
Mostly interest.
It's not going to move.
Marginally. God damn it.
So
I hate this thing.
That gives us 3 years to warm up to the KHL or Swiss League, so we at least have something to fall back on.
Yeah, and think of how many KHL teams will be invented and disbanded during that time. It's very interesting.
I was listening to my favorite radio station and the best radio station in the city of Toronto.
Oh, what were they saying on Sportsnet?
TSN 1050. And I was listening to...
I can't believe he's not saying Virgin Radio, which...
I don't know.
I don't know how to feel about that.
You can't really compete with TSN 1050, the best radio station in the city of Toronto. So I was listening to the best
coverage, second to none.
I was listening to the best radio station in the city of Toronto, TSN 1050, and our dear friend Bob McKenzie was on it, and he was talking about this deal, and he was saying how if they opt in and they choose to reopen the CBA and not to reopen the CBA, that they could still go back to the owner's side, and they could negotiate a 3 or 4 year extension that would change some things in the current CBA and extend this current agreement 3 or 4 plus years. So a total of 7 or 6 years.
So this wouldn't be CBA 2. This would be CBA Vice City.
1.5. Lion King 1.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like that.
Super Mario The Lost
So that's
Levels.
also an option in this agreement right now. But
sure
they haven't
seems more productive to do that than to sit out a season every time you want to change a detail.
Right.
So we'll see if that comes to fruition in the
By the
next
way,
couple of days.
I want to thank the Purelator truck for mentioning that they're driving by today. And by the way, they're hiring.
They're
now.
hiring.
They must know that they're on this show every time.
It's starting to seem like it's a promo.
I honestly think it is. I think they know.
No. These windows are blacked out. You actually can't see. I've tried.
Jesse.
You can't see from the other side.
Mr. Logical.
Yeah, so.
Shut up.
I'm sorry. Shout out our YouTube audience, though.
YouTube audience.
We never shout them out enough.
Oh, we don't.
The people who watch on YouTube.
Hey, bros and broettes. Click like and subscribe.
Well, like smash time. Hey, so the fact that the other NHL GMs don't like the Marner deal, it's probably a good thing for the Leafs, eh?
Good. That sounds like the rest of the 30 of you lot problem.
And we were talking about Tampa Bay and Colorado. Yes. But just to wrap on those guys again, because I think we sort of rushed through it. Mm-hmm. Just throw it out there. Rantanen and Point. What do they get? When do they get it?
Point, a bridge deal seems to be the only option.
There's no room in Tampa. There's nothing.
Right. So they only have, I think it's like 8 something. He should get the rest of it. Like he should, if it's a 2 or 3 year deal,
or leave $50,000 like the Leafs have between them and the cap, because that's all they have. $47,000.
If you're Point, you want as little as possible. Or sorry, it's not as little as possible. As short term as possible.
Do you do a 1 year deal?
That kicks the can down the road a bit. It's only going to go up. Dude, if Marner's getting a hair under 11 now, Jeff Skinner is getting 9.5. Like, you think this is going down? This train doesn't slow down, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're Tampa, you try to get at least 2. But if you're Point, I don't see any incentive to do
We don't see
More than 3, but I'd try to even keep it at 2.
8.467 is all the money in the world there.
So I would say 8. Give me 8. And here's the fun part.
And he's justified in asking for it.
In the NBA, you see a lot of guys going on like 1 or 2 year deals. You've seen one guy do the bet on himself deal at mega millions. Like Andreas Janssen did it, but he did it for like $715,000. Blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah, and he got paid.
William Karlsson, $4.9 million, I think, last year.
Or
and he bet
5.1.
Yeah, and then he bet on himself, and I think this offseason he got a 6 year deal or something, 5 or 6 year deal.
He got money.
Yeah. If I'm Braden Point, betting on myself. Because even if I have a bad year this year, you know it's just a one-off because I've been so good before.
If you're Braden Point, I just don't see the incentive to go longer than 2 years.
I would do one.
You play ball with your team who has an incredible window. You can win the cup this year and next if you sign a 2-year deal. But the type of player he is, over the past 2 seasons, he has fallen, I think, 3 points short and 2 points short of Marner. He's scored 5 fewer points over the last 2 seasons.
Wow.
25 more goals.
Yeah, he had 41 last year.
41 last year. Yeah. There is no reason to suggest he is worth less than Marner, especially the fact that he plays center. Mikko Rantanen is super interesting because Marner, 94 last season, 69 the year before, which is nice, but it's not 94. Rantanen has been over 80 in each of the past 2 seasons.
And you guys called me crazy for saying he's one of the best players, top 2 on the team.
No one said he wasn't one of the best players.
And he had 87 last year. He had 87 last year, which is not 94. He only played 74 games. 87 points divided by 74 games, 96-point pace.
How many goals?
Over 30 in each of his last
31.
31.
29 the year before.
29, okay, so he's got 30 this year.
Can't even score 30 goals.
Yeah. But 30 on the button, average over his last 2.
That's true.
Yeah, math.
You should be an owner.
For sure.
You should be an agent.
So there's
Mathematician Steve Dangle over here.
He's a mathy guy.
Now, here's what's amazing. Colorado should be able to afford to pay him whatever they want. They got McKinnon locked up to the best contract in the league. They got Nazem Kadri, who's on this wicked contract. There's no way this doesn't get done, right?
Yes.
Except for, when does Landeskog expire? Making 5 point whatever.
Mr. Landeskog expires in 2 years.
2 years?
They have some time, yeah.
They have some time.
What do you mean?
But if, Braden Point has to sign a bridge deal. There's no other option unless he's getting taken from that team.
Colorado has $15 million in cap space. This isn't a problem. This year. Go sign Rantanen into whatever they need.
The next 2 years, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
But going forward,
you can't tell Colorado they have to worry about 3 years from now if you're not telling the Leafs.
You're 100% right, which is why I think Rantanen should get term like Marner did.
Exactly.
And it should be, there's no reason it should be less than 11
It should be
million.
10.9.
It should be 10.894 is what it should be.
What if a penny more than Marner?
A penny more than Marner, and he changes his number to 34. Just to tell Soderbergh, listen, it's funny. And you just deal with it.
I'm just doing it for the Leafs.
TSN legal analyst, and forgive me if I pronounce this name incorrectly, Eric Macramella, Eric on Sports Law, said in a predictable move, the NHLPA has advised it will not opt out of the CBA. Talks continues. The key issues for the players are defining hockey-related revenue. Capping so that's interesting because that goes back to my point way back where I was saying I'm not sure that the Seattle franchise counts as hockey-related revenue. I don't know. Capping escrow may be a good compromise as well. As for the hockey-related revenue, the players' share in the revenue, that may be contentious. Gambling, and I would imagine it would be contentious because maybe that Seattle money doesn't count, which sucks. Gambling revenue will create significant stream of revenue that players will want a share of. Yeah. No kidding.
Yes.
And absolutely should have a share of. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because it's like, wow, we're making so much money. Let's argue over it.
The future of sports in America, whenever in-game betting is legalized across the board, across the country, is you sitting on your phone in a stadium saying, hey, they're going to score a goal in this period. I'm going to put $10 on that. And you just punch up the NHL app and you do it.
Yeah.
I think
That's the future.
It's all different forms of gambling. Like one of the most fun on my phone moments I've had at a sporting event is I can't remember which year it was that the Jays played. They lost in the ALCS.
That would have been to Kansas City.
I can't
They played
remember
them
if it
both
was
years.
to Kansas or to Cleveland.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's
Or
Cleveland,
wasn't
yeah.
one of the years Cleveland? Can't remember if it was to Kansas or Cleveland, but I was at a game with Mrs. Dangle, and during the game, the Jays, instead of getting eliminated, they won, and they were obviously going to win. So we go, okay, and we bought tickets to the next day's game. We kept updating the ticket page to see how much the tickets went up, inning by inning by inning. And like by the end of it, it's like, wow, if we waited like another hour, we would have had to pay like another $30 for these tickets. It's all gambling.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That would have been lost it 2016. Lost to the Indians in the ALCS.
I think it was. I think it was that.
Anyways,
Shucks.
we'll see if that's revenue for the players
Be
or the
very,
league
very interesting.
or the stadium.
Leafs made some cuts at camp. Just want to quickly mention this, and all teams are right now. But the one guy's name that came up, it's mostly junior guys that were cut, but SDA.
Aw.
Now, but he had like 8 goals last year, right? Like he needs to go back and get his shit together.
The hype was warranted. He had a good preseason rookie tournament. He looked like exactly the sort of guy you bet on when he was picked, which I think was the 3rd round. Okay, now let's let him go back to junior and rip it up.
Yep.
And he didn't. He had one less point than Liam Kirk, another undersized forward, drafted in the 7th round same year. So could they have had him play a preseason game tomorrow? Sure. But there's no point. He's not making the team.
He's not going to the E. He's not going to the A.
No, and he played a little bit of ECHL last year because Peterborough was out so early, and that was part of the problem. He's got to go back to junior, and he's got to rip it up. And he's going to do that if he starts with them as soon as possible.
Charlie McAvoy has re-signed.
Also, noted defender Nick Robertson.
Yes.
Sent to the Peterborough Beats.
Charlie McAvoy re-signed. So did Ivan Provorov since our last show. Interesting. Both were at pretty good cap hits. But I wondered with McAvoy.
That's an interesting one.
Here's an interesting thing. Okay, so Boston's core, their top 3 or 4 guys have been locked up for a while. Bergeron, Marchand, Chara, Rask, right?
All in their 30s.
All in their 30s
All of
now.
them.
All in their 30s, and all extremely successful in their 30s.
Totally.
With a
No,
guy-
Chara's in his 40s.
Yeah. See, part of the thing people ask about where Kyle Dubas is, why didn't he have more leverage? I think the Bruins had more leverage with McAvoy than the Leafs would have had with Marner because their core, you know who their core is. And Charlie McAvoy will become and is going to be a part of that core if he's not already.
Right. No, he is.
He is. However, Charlie McAvoy looks at a team that just made the Stanley Cup Finals and went, "How can I not want to be a part of this? I'll make my ridiculous sum of money in 3 years." But for the Leafs, when they sign these guys, they don't have that older core to say, "Here's an opportunity with these guys at the window." They haven't gotten out of the first round yet. So I wonder if that sort of worked against them too, whereas, it's an easier sell with Charlie McAvoy because it's like, yeah, you're going to learn under these great guys, and yeah, it's going to be awesome, and yeah, we just made the Stanley Cup Finals, whereas with the Leafs, it's like, Marner, we need you because we can't get out of the first round.
I think with McAvoy, it's interesting. The guy who I think it applies to the most, even though they don't play the same position, is Brock Besser. I think that's going to be a really interesting...
Because the Canucks, like, Charlie McAvoy is needed by the Bruins. But the Canucks, Brock Besser's a part of that young core that eventually in 10 years will be Marchand, Bergeron, Chara, Rask, hopefully for the Canucks.
It's not that. It's that Besser's an unbelievably talented player.
Yes.
We know that. McAvoy's an unbelievably talented player. We know that. Can't stay healthy. That's the issue. So throwing a huge 8-year contract at either of those guys does come with a risk. It might end up paying wicked dividends. Knowing that it's the Bruins, it probably will. But there is reason to be cautious here.
Injuries are afraid of the Bruins, by the way. They're afraid of getting beaten up and punched in the face.
It's true. It's
why they stay away.
intimidation. So with Boston, I mean, you got a clear window while these guys are still... can you call Bergeron in his prime? Friggin' bastard won't slow down.
I don't know if he's ever not been in his prime. Since he hit his prime, I think he's remained there.
Marchand's definitely in there. Pasternak's creeping up. Krug is creeping up. This is probably Chara's last season. A short-term deal makes sense on a lot of fronts here. But McAvoy is going to get friggin' paid.
Yeah.
at the end of it.
Yeah, he
But
is.
that sounds like a 3 years from now, probably.
Let's do the press conference.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
You guys got some paper? You guys got some pens?
No.
I can fetch.
I got pens.
Here, I got a piece of paper right now.
Here's a pen.
And a pen.
Here's a pen. You got a pen?
I don't
I'm
know
gonna
what that
check.
is. Just making
No,
sure
you
it's not
can't.
important.
Don't write on this.
Oh, don't? Okay.
Here, right on this.
Do you got something you can write on?
Just right on the back. Doesn't
There we
matter.
go.
All right, there you go.
I got my old Adam and Steve one.
All right.
Glad you checked.
Today's trivia is courtesy of Guapo Man
Guapo man.
17 on Reddit.
Oh, good.
Hurricane Penaz.
Peanuts.
Penaz.
Penis.
Remember,
our-
include that in your name, otherwise you're not a real fan.
If you don't include Peanuts in your name, do you even listen to the Steve Dangle
Yeah,
podcast?
right.
Penis John. Penis Josh. Penis. Okay.
Okay, anyway.
Also, I got NHL 20 because I had pre-ordered, so that it landed on my console on Friday. I haven't actually played it yet, so we gotta do a little review next episode or something.
We should. Also, can I mention that the other day I was playing Red Dead, then a notification popped up in the corner. It said NHL 20 is ready, which I found very perplexing because I did not pre-order it, I did not buy it, and I did not put in a code. So I just
What?
have NHL 20,
What?
The full game?
the full-ass
And they
game.
sent it to your PSN?
That's cool.
I didn't do anything.
Man, I should
for
turn
it.
on my PSN.
No
see
one
if it was
messaged
what I was
me.
given.
No one emailed me.
The life of Steve Dangle.
I don't.
Does nothing. NHL 20 ends up on his console.
Well, Jesse, if you play the game, you will believe that it was a glitch. So
All right.
whoa.
that's for next episode.
Whoa. Have you played?
Yes.
And?
Not a fan?
It sounds like you're not a fan.
Passing's really, really hard.
Oh, it's hard. That's the problem. Okay, it's not that it's bad. It's hard. All right, we'll talk about that next episode.
Okay.
There's a little tease forward.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah,
we'll
you
both
know-
play it and we'll both have our
That's the
reviews.
interesting thing with Steve. You got to make that distinction. Is it bad or is it difficult?
Listen, they're one and the same.
And honestly, why would you develop passing you've never bothered to this point?
Wow!
I didn't know you knew where the pass button was.
exactly.
All I have are assists so far.
You know where the R2 button is? That's
Yeah, I do.
insane.
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
Oh, wow. All right,
I'm
let's do this.
shocked.
It's the
Let's
same
do
button
this.
I used to shoot you in the face in Red Dead.
So, Guapo Man 17 compiled the list of rookie records on a Reddit page that were broken in the 2016-2017 season.
Oh, boy.
So, there were 12 records broken that season.
Okay.
We're going to run through all 12.
Oh, my God.
And for the ones where it's not a team record, I'm going to get you to give me the number and the player.
Oh,
so
my
those
God.
questions will be worth 2 points.
Okay.
For all of these that are numbers based, it'll be easy because you don't need to come up with a name, you don't need to use your noggin, you just need to guess a number.
Okay.
It'll be closest to without going over. If you go over, you lose.
Okay.
All right.
All right. First record broken. Total rookie goals. What's your number?
Got it.
So Steve knows the answer to this.
Oh, total, the whole team.
Total goals scored by rookies.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
the total number throughout the season of goals scored by rookies.
Okay.
This is a record they broke in 2006. Isn't that crazy?
It broke it in 2006?
16-17. All of these records come from the 16-17 season.
Man, that's got to be
They
the
broke
Leafs that
12 records. Yeah. So these are all Leafs records.
Closest
Wow,
that they
without
broke.
going over?
Closest without going over. How many total rookie goals did they have?
Okay.
Let me see your papers. Steve, what's your number? 115, Steve? Adam?
year. 100.
123.
Oh! All right, Steve gets one.
Steve gets one.
Okay.
All right.
Because
Next
Connor
one.
Brown had that 20-goal season,
Yeah, that's
too.
right.
Right?
Yeah.
They put up a lot of points.
Yeah.
Goals by a rookie.
Just single.
What's the name of the player that set the record, and how many goals did he score?
Okay.
Closest to without going over. Steve Dangle, Austin Matthews, 40. Adam
Austin
Weil,
Matthews, 40.
raise your paper.
Oh, I didn't write it down. I didn't know if you want me to write it down.
Damn it, Adam.
Well,
you
it's
gotta write it.
obvious.
You gotta
I
write it.
believe you.
You gotta write it down every time.
I know
He
that
doesn't
one.
get it.
Come
All
on.
right.
Sorry, I'll write it down. I'll write
You
it
both
down.
got
My
2
No, he's
points.
right.
You both got 2 points on that question.
1,
Steve's
2.
up 3-2.
Okay. I don't need to keep track of the score then, right?
Please do.
Oh, please do? Okay.
Please do.
All right.
3-2.
It's 3-2. You got 1 point on the first question, and then you got 2 points for the player and the name.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Closest to adding your
3-2.
points. Closest to adding your points without going over.
3-2. All right. Most points by a rookie. Who had it? Name of the player and how many points did he score in the 2016-2017 season?
Okay.
Which rookie scored the most points that year? How many points was it? Adam Wilde, are you ready?
Austin Matthews, 69.
Yeah.
Steve Dangle?
I only
Matthews,
put Ma.
69. All right.
Because he played 82 games.
Steve's still up by 1.
Is that 2 points?
That's 2 points for each of you. All right. Most assists by a rookie in a single season. This player set the record that year.
Now, there's 2 players. Is it Marner or is it Nylander? Now, I know that they tied for points. So the question is, who scored more goals?
Okay. I don't know.
Most assists by a rookie in the 2016-2017 season. Steve Dangle, what's your answer? Steve Dangle has Marner 40. Adam Wilde, who do you got?
I say Nylander, 41.
You each get a point. The number is 42.
Oh,
Adam
wow.
gets the number closest, and the player is Mitch Marner.
Okay.
So you each get a point there. Steve's still up by 1.
Wait. Oh, how many assists did you say?
I said 40.
So you were closest. The answer's
I
42.
won that part.
Price is Right.
Yeah,
I see,
so
I see.
you get, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it's so close. You still got a point. This is fun.
Okay.
All right. Dude, I'm sweating.
This is tough.
Most power play goals. Who scored the most power play goals by a rookie, and what was the number?
And this is 16, 17.
They're all 16,
See,
17.
Us from 2 years ago would be slapping us now. How do you forget this?
Right?
Magical season.
It's crazy that they set all these records
So
in
it's
that one
interesting.
season.
Interesting about this one.
Rookie power play goals. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to
goals
say
by
anything
rookie.
because
Yeah, don't give him any
Yeah,
hints.
No.
That's why you got a paper.
I mean,
What's the number of power play goals this rookie scored that season? And who's the rookie?
okay.
Steve, what's your number? Who's your name? Matthews, 12. Adam?
Nylander 10.
Adam gets 1 point. The correct answer is Nylander 9. So Steve is over and incorrect.
So
damn.
Adam, it's tie ball game.
I'll tell you why I went. Sorry, I looked like I was going to throw the pen
no,
at you.
it's good.
I'll tell you why I went Nylander on that. Because all anybody can talk about is how prolific Matthews is at even strength.
even strength scoring.
Yep.
But he just scored so many goals. I was like, he could have the most even strength goals and power play
yeah,
goals.
because it was 40 goals.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Sorry,
we're going.
Jesse.
We're going. No, that was
the record?
You guys are tied now.
All right.
Total rookie points. This is a single point question.
Oh, by everybody.
By everybody. How many points did the Leafs rookies put up in the 2016-017 season? What's the total number of points put up by their rookies that year?
I'm trying to do like quick maths.
You trying to count them all up?
Yeah.
Don't forget guys like Zaitsev and Hyman and Nylander and Matthews and Marner, all rookies. Brown was a rookie that
Yep.
season too, yeah. Whole bunch of them.
Any goalies who may have had an assist.
Any goalies, yeah.
You know, Enroth wasn't a rookie. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember
That was
how
a
he was
crazy
briefly
season.
a thing? Oh, well, now I got to do...
What's your...
Can you trust me to use my calculator?
No, you're not allowed to use a calculator.
Damn it, now I
That's-
got to do math.
That's unfair.
This is stupid.
Adam, do you have a number written down? Still thinking? You're going to go $1, Bob? Who's the new guy who hosts Price is Right?
Drew Carey, isn't
Drew
it?
Carey. Yeah. Not the other Drew Carey.
All right, I got my number.
One of the two Drew Careys hosted.
Ready?
All right, what's your number? Where am I looking?
The bottom.
Oh,
I circled mine.
295 Steve has.
I say 280.
280. Adam Wilde in the lead. No, you have a higher number, right?
Wait,
I
290.
said 295.
Oh, Steve's tied.
Well, how many was it?
It was 304.
304.
Yeah, Steve, sorry. My
Oh,
bad.
no, Steve's up by one again because we were tied.
Oh, you were tied. Steve's up by one.
304. Because I was like, Connor Carrick was a rookie. And, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, how many points did he have? Zaitsev at 36.
All
Like,
right.
You know, anyway.
Back to the power play.
Damn it.
The Leafs this season, a Leafs player set the record for most power play points by a rookie. What's the name of this Leaf? How many points did he score on the PP? He got PPP, power play points.
Is this in that same season?
Oh, they're all 16-17. All of these records are set in the 16-17 season. Which rookie? This is great trivia.
Got it.
Thank
And
you,
the
Guap
number?
Man 17. And the number. So this
dear.
question's worth 2 points.
I know the person. Hundo P, I know the person.
Adam knows the person. Steve Dangle says Marner, 18. Adam Wild, who are you saying?
Marner 30.
Steve Dangle gets a point. It's Nylander, 26.
Whoa, really?
Wow.
Man, people forget.
Right?
You're sleeping on him, man. You're sleeping on him.
Well, yeah.
I thought Marner because of the domination of JVR in front of the net.
Right.
Yeah, and also that line like really had a hard time 5-5.
Yeah.
And but he still put up a ton of points.
Yeah.
So okay.
So now Steve's up 2.
Steve is up too.
All right. This player set the record for longest point streak by a rookie.
No, I don't know this.
How many games? Which rookie? How many games did he have a point streak? And which rookie was
Was
it?
it before or after he hit the wall?
Adam, who's your guess?
Matthews 8.
Matthews 8.
Nylander 10.
2 points for Steve Dangle. It was
well
a
done,
12-point,
Oh, was it 12?
12-game point streak, and it
Wow.
was Nylander.
Again, you guys are all sleeping on Nylander.
Yeah, he had a
He
great
was
rookie year.
really good.
He was really good his second season too.
Right?
People just
Yeah.
forgot.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, by the way, just quick breaking news. You're going to love this. Flyers announce a 6-year contract with Travis Konechny. What do you think Travis Konechny is making?
Can you bring up his point totals? Because remember, we're talking about Mitch Marner here, the comparison. Travis Konechny is a winger. I think the same age. 69 points 2 years ago, 94 this past year. Career high 26 goals.
Travis Konechny had 47 2 years ago and 49 this past year.
They'd be smart to lock him up to term.
Well, I said 6 years.
Oh, it's 6
Yeah.
years. So I got it. 5.
Jesse, do you know?
4.5.
Have you seen it?
6-1.
5-5.
Ah.
Okay.
All right.
That's pretty fair.
Manageable deal.
Yeah,
Manageable.
not too bad.
Yeah. There you go. Anyway, any
for
more?
them.
Any more?
Yeah. We got 1, 2, 3. I think 4 more questions. Most shorthanded goals by a rookie. This record was set in the 16-17 season. How many shorthanded goals did this rookie score?
Sorry, what was the question? One more time.
Shorthanded goals by a rookie was set this season, 16-17. What's the player? How many shorthanded goals did he have? Adam, what's your answer?
Hyman 4.
Hyman 4.
Hyman 4.
Hey,
Well done, boys.
We both knew.
Well done,
That's
boys.
pretty good.
I remember thinking that's pretty cool. What is that? 2 points?
2 points each. Steve's still up by 3 or 4?
Yeah, 3.
3? All right.
I think so.
Count them up. 3?
I think so.
We'll
Yep.
go with 3.
Sure.
All right. Game-winning goals by a rookie. This player set the record with this amount of game-winning goals in the 16-17 season. And he was a rookie. So he set the rookie record. Because that's how rookie records work. You got to be a rookie to set rookie records. Fun fact about rookie records.
Weird.
You know, it's fair.
Yeah. He was in his first year of play in the NHL, which makes him a rookie.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I know. It's
Weird
crazy.
I'm going to erase
Oh.
my number, and I'm going to put a higher one.
You know, usually you do this and you do it incorrectly.
I
So
know.
I'm hoping you're making the right decision here.
Let's see.
All right, what's your number? Matthews 12, says Steve Dangle.
I said Matthews 9.
Steve, what was your original number?
8. So I would have lost either way.
No, the number was 8.
So we each get a point.
And it is Matthews. So you each get a point.
it!
Damn it.
I told you, you always do this.
I do always do that. Oh!
Was that not a hint?
And I was bang on. Come
You
on.
nailed it.
Oh, boy, that's funny.
Damn.
You know, on this thing alone, I would, if I were you, trust my gut on pretty much everything.
Man.
So yeah, Matthews had 8 game-winning goals in 16-17 set the record. All right, most shots on goal by a rookie.
Oh.
Who had it? What's the number? A lot of shots. A lot of shots that hit the goalie, but not the post. Because if you hit the post, it's not,
not a
a shot
shot.
on goal.
Which is
But
odd.
by the way, this player is totally known for hitting the damn post, too.
Yep.
If he didn't hit the post so much, the goal totals would be even higher.
Could have had an even bigger record. All right. Steve says Matthews 310. Adam says,
I said Matthews 120.
well, you got it right because Steve went over the number, which is 279.
No!
Adam $1 you.
Yes.
2 points, Steve 1 point.
I thought it was really, really high. Oh, well.
So Steve's only up by 2?
That's right.
All right. Last question.
Last question.
Adam, you need both these right.
Steve
You
needs
need the number and the player, and Steve needs to get both of them wrong.
All you need me to do is write down my answer and then change it.
I'll take Steve's first answer.
Total ice time. So think about who would be playing lots of ice time, and what's the number?
What's the number?
What's
like
the
overall or average per game?
Total.
Oh,
my God.
All the minutes
Jesus.
together.
I don't know anything about that.
All the minutes together. That's what we're going for. All of them together. Game 7. Steve and Adam hit the ice. What is the total number of this rookie?
It was me, Austin. It was me all along. Oh, now you're making me do math.
Yep, do it.
Dude, I don't know how to do it.
Think of their average, multiply it by 82.
Oh my God! Okay, times 10.
No calculators. Yeah, this is just 10 8 times plus 2.
Yeah, that's fucking great, man.
Just do the math, you guys. It's super easy. It's not like I have the answer in front of me. And I also need the correct rookie.
Uh,
So you got to give me those.
oh my God, I don't know math, man.
Yeah, that's the fun of the game.
Okay, here's how I do it.
I think I got it.
Oh.
Okay, well that's that, and then
if I don't have it, I'll be like, nah, I didn't get it.
But you think you got it.
You know, that's what I love about this trivia thing is it's really it's a shot in the dark each time.
It is.
I think
it truly is.
I am wrong on both counts, so Adam might win this thing.
Steve went with Zaitsev 1200.
Whoa,
Adam?
interesting. Good pick. It's a good
Shut
player.
up.
I went with Zach Hyman, 1600. 20 minutes a night because he plays a lot of
There's
shorthand.
no way we're going to OT again.
Adam? You fell 1 point short.
Oh, damn it.
You had the number closer, but the correct answer was Zaitsev.
Oh, wow, Steve, well done.
All right.
How that sucks.
Yeah.
Zaitsev beating out all those guys.
Yeah.
He's a defender.
The defenseman by
and
default.
he was on the power play. That's why. And that's why I
On the
went with
power
Hyman.
play. And he had 36 points.
Yeah, he did. No, I went with Hyman just because he was a shorthanded guy. And I was like, who else
Right.
is playing special teams?
Yeah, no,
And,
it wasn't until the next season that Babcock is like, you basically don't leave the ice.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Oh, my God.
And I guess you lost by 2, actually.
2 points.
Right? Yeah.
2 points. But boy, good times.
Good times.
Good times,
Fun,
guys.
fun.
So
That was a-
tight.
oof.
Tight.
I feel like I'm closing the gap. I might not be
Yeah.
winning. I'm like the Blue Jays right now. I'm losing by 1 run, but I'm still in it.
But, like, there's a lot of moral victories.
Yeah,
in there.
yeah, exactly. Gentlemen,
All right.
good fun. Good fun all around. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the show. If you have any questions or comments, whatever, you got our Reddit page, you got our Twitter accounts, you got us on YouTube or whatever. We will be back next Monday. And by the way, in the next little bit, we're going to be able to confirm for you what our actual schedule is going to be this year because we're going to try to move to, and I think we're 100% going to move to, fixed days. So you know when the podcast can come out, so you don't have to be like, I wonder if it came out today.
Right.
We used to do that. We got to move back to that. So we're doing that this year, and we're pretty excited about that. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.